as you guys know, today we're going to be we're going to be wrapping up ads, and then we're going to be diving into the first part of the sales process. And I thought it would be so much more powerful if I could have the legend himself on here to teach you guys how he closed hundreds of chiropractors. But most importantly, what most people don't know about Omer is that he didn't just wake up and then one day he was amazing at sales. He struggled his first few months and he didn't actually close a client for weeks, or even months. And then after months of trying over and over and over and over again, he finally started to close, and then things took off. I mean, he closed. How many people have you closed on marketing services at this point?
354.
354.
I'm only counting, guys.
How did you know?
That's yeah, whatever. Specific. You didn't know that.
Someone knows what. Now we know what you're keeping track of in your iPhone, on your notes. You know.
I gotta know. I had to get paid. And I knew I knew that time was coming. By the way, guys, it took a while, like Joel said, which I'll get to in a little bit.
So Omer's going to be hanging out while we finish up the ad stuff, and then we're going to be diving into the intro call. With that in mind, if you're excited to have Omer here with us today, drop a 1 below, show him some love. And
Omer, thanks for being here, brother. I appreciate you.
Yeah, of course.
As usual.
Of course.
Always dropping value in so many different places, and thanks for jumping in for high level as well, man.
I know, I'm super excited. The only thing that I'm upset about, I wish this was any other week, because I have a whole, you've seen my setup, Paulson. I have a whole camera, 4K, microphone, short mic. Joel kind of made this last minute. So I was like, all right, quality might not be as good, but the content's going to be fire. Mark my words.
Ooh,
that's all that matters. With that in mind, what did you guys think of yesterday's call? Good? Is there anyone that's not enjoying this? Who's not enjoying this?
And it's okay to say something so that we can create clarity around what you're missing, right?
Yes.
It's more of we're asking for constructive criticism, which is good.
They're not here anymore. Good point. Yeah, I guess yesterday we had 97 people. Now we have 82. So now we know.
I just started the Zoom. We'll people trickle in.
I don't know if Zoom optimizes for certain people, but I noticed we've been seeing the same exact people on that front page. Maybe it's just by the time they join.
The same fan base jumps on about 7 minutes before I start anything. So I appreciate all of you.
Appreciate you guys. Yeah, Peter's definitely been here since day one. I know Justin's been here since day 2.
George, Steph, all the regulars right here.
Oh, so, yeah. John's been here. Yeah. I couldn't tell if it was like, do you guys just love us or is it just Zoom? But anyways, guys, let's dive in. Good to catch up. Now let's get to it. So yesterday we talked about the campaign structure. We talked about the biggest hacks to making it work. We actually gave you guys 3 ads that you can copy and paste and directly implement. Now, the thing that we didn't get to was some takeaways around copywriting. And we also didn't get to what to actually put in the image or video. And we also didn't get to some last few final thoughts. So with that in mind, let's dive in. Did everyone see the 3 ads? Yes? Cool. And by the way, everyone's been asking if we're going to get access to the resources. On day 10, Paulson and I are going to meet immediately after, compile all those resources, and get them to you guys in one place. That's how we're going to do it. So yes, you're going to have to wait till Friday to get everything, all the resources, Google Docs, all that good stuff. The slides, everything. But once you get them, you'll have them. So just wait till Friday and we'll go from there. So let's dive in. Here's the 3 types of ads that I love to run. And there's definitely more images and videos that you guys can run, but these are my top 3 favorite. So again, I'm here to empower you guys. So I'm going to break down why they work, and I'm going to break down the frameworks behind why they converted. But again, feel free to get creative with it. It's literally called the creative of the ad. So please have some fun with it. I just saw an ad. I don't know if you guys have seen it. I'm sure you have, where this guy takes a huge deep breath and he delivers his whole pitch in like 30 seconds. Who's seen that ad lately? Or was it just me? No? Okay. Well, I thought it was really, really funny and creative, and it's hilarious because he takes a massive deep breath and then he just does his entire pitch with one deep breath. And it had like 100 comments because people were like, holy crap, this is really funny. So the point is, this is the piece where you can actually innovate and make your own and have some fun with it. So here we go. Here's my top 3 favorite types. There's one where I call the direct offer, where we're actually going to put what we can do for them right on the ad. So for example, we came up with a 3 ads. We came up with a 3 ads, guys. And we're doing test drive our system, 10 free appointments, 10 free appointments on us. We'll send you 10 free appointments. You can put that on the actual image. So you can say attention chiros or attention gym owners, 10 appointments free. So you can put the offer that you've created right on the ad. That's my favorite type. The more eye-catching you can make it to get someone to actually read the offer on the image, the better. The other one that I like is something that's relevant to the niche that only the niche will know, but it's also a little weird and different. As you guys can see here, we put my face on the guy from Tiger King. And for like a few weeks, this ad blew up because everyone was talking about Tiger King. And we only put this ad in front of our retargeting audience. So it was only shown to people that already knew Joel Kaplan. So it's perfect.
And by the way, guys, that ad was put before the Tiger dude went to jail. So we didn't really know that he's, a bad person. So just disclaimer.
Yeah, this is before like the last episode was out. We moved fast on this. So the point is, you guys have all seen it with like meme ads or ads where it's kind of funny and it's speaking to something that only like a roofer would know or only a gym owner would know about this pain point. It's very relevant, but it's going to catch people's attention. It's a little weird. It's a little different. Yeah. So meme ads, for example, anything that's like relevant to what's happening in pop culture right now, mixed in with your niche and something that only they would know is amazing. You could also have fun with it. Like, for example, here's another example of something that isn't that weird, but it's still very relevant and only the niche would know. I told one of my students who works with contractors to actually show the work order that the contractor generated through his marketing. And if you're a dentist and you're scrolling through and you see a work order for a new fence or a work order for a new roof, it's not going to be relevant to you at all. But if you're a roofer and you're scrolling through and you see a random work order that only you would know what that is, you're going to stop and read the ad. I'll give you another example. With one of my other students, he was like, yo, Joel, how do we come up with a creative that's going to crush it for attorneys, especially personal injury attorneys? And I told him, how do personal injury attorneys get paid? And he said, if they win a big settlement. And how do they send payments? He told me that they do checks. They do actual checks. So someone knocked on my door. I don't know who that is. So we're going to keep going. If you get a huge settlement, you get a cash in the mail. So what we did is we looked for pictures online of people getting a check in the mail. We blurred out all the info and we use that as an ad. It's only relevant to that niche. If you're a dentist and you see a random check in the mail as a picture when you're scrolling on Facebook, that's not going to make you stop. But if you're an attorney and every single time you win a case, this is what you do. You send checks in the mail and you get checks in the mail. If that's how you get paid and you see that ad, you're going to stop. I don't know if you guys have seen ads with Stripe, the Stripe screenshot. All of you guys know what Stripe is. That's why they use that ad, because it's relevant to you. If you showed a Stripe account to an attorney, he would never stop. He would never be like, oh, that's speaking to me. Let me stop. So you want to make it relevant, weird, different. That's option number 2. Option number 3, this is one of my absolute favorites, is get your clients to do the ad.
So, some of you that were on here yesterday, I kind of briefly touched on structure of copywriting, as well as creatives, right? I personally like the top being disruptive, the middle being the solution, the bottom being action, meaning call to action. And that has always worked for me, right? And that's just the way I was taught copywriting. And with, this entire system, as you go into it and start developing leads for yourself, you're going to find out that copywriting is really, really important to be a marketing provider. And that includes yourself, for your own self. So if you don't have good copywriting skills, second to sales, I would say get those skills up, because now your ads are going to be relevant to those skills. The way you talk to your audience is going to be relevant to those skills. So I really like following disruption, solution, and action. And that's the structure that I follow no matter what happens. All right. And that's similar to what Joel is following. He's talking about what his disruptive modes are in the beginning. That's what he's showcasing here.
Yeah. So when you guys are thinking about creating images and videos, these are kind of the main things that I'm looking for. I'm looking for something that's eye-catching or states the offer. I'm looking for things that are relevant, weird, maybe a little different, but speak specifically to the niche. And then last but not least, the best video ads for us have always been social proof. So if you can get a client, for example, if you work with, let's say, roofers, and you can get a roofer to go on a video and say, hey, my experience working with Joel was this, and that. It was amazing. By the way, he's offering 10 free appointments to put his money where his mouth is. You should definitely take him up on it. If your client is now stating your offer, that's going to convert like crazy. So those are my top 3. The last one is pretty self-explanatory. Get video testimonials to run as ads, or get your clients to actually state your offer for you. Cool. Almost done. I want to give you guys some copywriting takeaways. If you guys can see on this ad that we showed yesterday, I talked about how gym owners can't stand the inconsistency of crappy ad agencies, gym gurus, and free challenges. You obviously can't copy and paste that for a dentist or an e-com store. It's a different pain point. So you guys have to keep in mind, the more you know your niche, the more research you have on your niche, the easier it is going to be to write really copy that resonates with them. I'll give you another example. We talked about, I know for a fact, dentists, like some of the ones that really rely on referrals, they beg their existing patients for referrals. They don't like doing that. So if I can get really clear on mainly the pain points and the desires of my niche and research, the easier it is for me to write copy. I'm going to give you guys my top 3 research hacks. Number 1, take out someone in your niche to lunch. Well, I guess you can't do that because of COVID, but this is something that we used to do all the time. Like, I would actually take my clients out for lunch, and I would pay for everything, and I would just drill them with questions for an hour and a half. So doing a full-on interview and paying for their dinner or for their time. You could also reach out to a chiropractor, be like, hey, I'd love to pay you for your time. I'm just looking to interview you for an hour. Or I'm trying to get some research done. I would love to interview you. I'd be happy to pay for your time. That's one. The other strategy that I really, really like is listening to your sales calls. If you guys can transcribe your sales calls, like a lot of our copy comes directly from the sales call. And if you actually looked at our marketing team inside of 7FA, our program, we're always speaking to the salespeople to get feedback for our marketing, because they know exactly what the issues are, what the pain points are from the people that are looking to join our program. And the last and final hack for you guys. Every single time you get a client, have them fill out an entire intake form that actually gives you legit research answers to the questions that you have. And over time, your database of research is going to get better and better and better. So obviously at first it's not a solid strategy, but after you have 100 clients, you'll have statistically significant data to help you write amazing copy. Okay, 3 more things, guys. Copywriting, just like ads, is going to take time. I talked yesterday a lot about how you can't expect to see overnight results. Just like with sales, you can't expect to see overnight results. Everyone thinks that writing copy and running ads is like something that you just plug and play. But guys, media buying and copywriting is a skill as much as sales is a skill. So do not expect to just magically wake up one day and be an amazing copywriter. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of time. It is a skill. It's not a system or a technique. Copywriting is not a script. Copywriting is a skill. Everyone thinks like, I just need the latest script or I just need the latest copy, but really it's about developing the skill more than anything else. And then the last piece of feedback that I wanted to give you guys in terms of copy and coming up with good ads is not to copy. So this is really important, because a lot of you guys will think that the way to write really good ads is by just copy and pasting a proven ad. But the way to write really good ads is to really know your niche and do the research, then take proven frameworks and really make it your own. For example, at this point, I've given people my proven ads and everyone's like, well, Joel, the proven ad didn't get me as many booked appointments as yours. But the reality is it's because they're just copy and pasting it. If you can really just take a little bit of effort to think on your own and to ask yourself, what will resonate with my niche and what are the main problems that my niche is having? And you can modify it for that. It's going to go much longer than just copying and pasting an ad. I always say this, guys, don't be a copy and paste entrepreneur. Be an actual entrepreneur, be an innovator. So I did want to throw that out there. And then last but not least, guys, if you do literally copy and paste without someone's permission, they can send you a cease and desist. Like, that is very real. And I absolutely don't recommend straight up infringing on people's copyright. Like, I just want to make that clear. It's okay to model. It's okay to work from frameworks and innovate on it, but be willing to make it your own. All right, let's see. I got a last few things for you guys, and then we'll transition into sales. If you're doing lead forms, you definitely don't want to, and this is going back to yesterday's stuff. If you're doing lead forms, you're going to want to add short form questions instead of pre-fill questions. Facebook is going to give you a warning. I've never had issues with it. So I've never had issues with it. The reason we want to do short answer versus pre-fill is because if you do pre-fill, you're going to get bad information. You want them to manually put in their name, email, and phone number. If you're still getting low quality or you're not getting a lot of intent, add a few questions to your lead form. For example, you could do things like, where is your gym located? Just to get some more commitment. You can do things like, are you a gym owner? Yes or no, and getting them to click, so that if you're like, yo, Joel, I did lead formats, but I got a bunch of people thinking that I was a dentist that were just patients. Ask them, are you a dentist? So feel free to add more to filter people out. I also recommend, guys, start with lead forms in Messenger, like I said yesterday, but eventually move on to a funnel. So I know High Level has a ton of different templates that you guys can use in landing pages, but if you don't have a license, don't just go and copy someone. Like, if you don't have a license and someone has actually written an entire sales letter and you completely copy it, you're infringing on their copyright. So make sure to get rights to it or permission. And I know High Level has a ton of different templates that you can literally plug and play. But we want to start with lead forms and Messenger. Then we want to eventually move on to a funnel. Like I said yesterday, we're going to start with custom audiences and proven interests, but we eventually want to move on to new audiences. That's not going to last you forever. I promise you. If you're running ads directly to a list that's scraped, it's going to dry out. You're going to want to test new interests. You're going to want to test lookalike audiences. You're going to want to do retargeting audiences. If you're doing a lead form, make the button send people to a scheduling page like Calendly, and make sure that it's pixeled. So if you are going to do something like Calendly, embed it into a landing page on high level so that it's pixeled. And that way you can retarget anyone that actually clicked to schedule a call. So on the thank you form, on the thank you page, on the lead form, there's going to be an ability to put a button, make sure it goes to a scheduling page.
Let me address something real quick. So
yeah,
some of you may know there are new features coming out for round robining calendars. Logic placement is another feature that we're going to have on surveys, whether it's based on responses. I'm going to just answer this once and for all. Stop waiting for another feature to take action. You don't need anything more than what you already have. Don't ask me about anything related to the technology piece. You don't need it today. You have enough to take action. I promise you. Here, after a while, you're going to build a team out that's going to create these efficiencies. As a solopreneur, as a one-man show, for now, just take action. Don't wait on all these features to have a funnel built out and running ads. Just go at it, go for it. Don't wait on high level or any other platform to come out with another feature to make it all efficient. You're thinking like how you would service your own clients, and debilitating yourself taking action because you're like, oh, I'm going to build this thing out. Next week, something else comes out. Therefore, I should just wait it out. Pretty soon, 6 months goes by. So don't let that happen, guys.
Yeah. Someone asked why we use Calendly over high level. We have we need the advanced round robin feature because we have multiple reps. And then also
we do have round robin now with high level.
You have to also keep in mind, guys, I'm doing big numbers. I can't just shifting off of a software takes a lot of time. It means going back and flipping a lot of systems. So it doesn't tell the full picture, and there's always context. So all of our Calendlys are on all of our emails. They're on all of our funnels, all of our retargeting sequences. So it's it would be a lot to go back and switch everything. Let's see. We do use high level for our CRM internally and for all of our nurturing, just not the scheduling. Someone asked, this is a really important question, guys. This is going to be a huge golden nugget for you guys. Someone said, I keep getting people who are just starting their e-com biz. If you're in a niche that's predominantly broke, don't expect to get a lot of rich people. E-com specifically attracts people looking to start a business. Most people looking to start a business are looking for a new way and are broke. If you're working with plastic surgeons, you're going to talk mainly to wealthy people because the barrier to entry to become a plastic surgeon, go to medical school, and then start a medical practice is way higher than starting an e-com business. I can literally go on Alibaba, find a product, create a Shopify store, and launch for less than $100. So there's nothing in the ad that's ever going to fix your niche. And you have to remember back to day 2. Every niche has its pros and cons. So here's the upside of going after a niche like e-com is that you'll get way more booked appointments. So instead of trying to only talk to wealthy people, instead ask yourself, how can I sell to broke people? Maybe you offer financing. Maybe you have a downsell. Maybe your prices are just too high for your niche. Maybe you have a 60-day starter program to get people up to a certain place where they can afford your service.
Joel, I got a question for you.
Yeah.
So we have the ads, right? We're running lead forms with customized questions, sending them to a scheduling page to give us intro calls of some kind, in addition to us going outbound on the calls, like following up with the leads ourselves, right? At what point do you think, how far do you think I can go before I start conversion ads or any other more complex systems?
I would probably say a lot of people are far off.
Okay.
It just requires a lot more to make it work. Like really, you have to really understand your niche. You have to essentially write a sales letter, whether it's video format or whether it's written out. And to write a converting sales letter, unless you go buy someone's system, like for example, anyone that signs up for a program can essentially license our sales letter, but
Let me rephrase my question. How much do you think I can scale as an agency with just lead ads?
Oh yeah, that's a great question. I have a member of the 100K a month club in my program. So someone that I helped hit, they're at like 150K a month, and they just did it with lead forms.
So now you guys understand we shouldn't have any questions on funnels and landing pages or conversion ads in this conversation rest of the way, right?
Yeah, I mean, it is more advanced, and you're gonna, with a funnel, you're gonna get some benefits. You're gonna nurture them a little bit better. They're gonna read a sales letter. They're gonna see your results. So they're gonna be a little bit more nurtured, and technically they should go through the whole funnel and book a call. But most of you guys aren't ready, and you absolutely don't need it to scale. Like,
if my sales guys are coming back and saying, hey, I've got a quality issue, that's when I would actually launch conversion ads. Until then, I'd rather have them take as many practice shots on the court and give ourselves a good chance at getting better. What do you think, Joel?
Yeah, so that's a huge other point. At the beginning, like we talked about before, we need as much practice, and we want to shorten the learning curve and make that initial moment at the beginning where it's really hard. We want to make that as short as possible. So we need volume. Messenger and lead forms are going to give you way more volume than a funnel will. Because for example, let's say with a funnel, I'm paying $150 per book call. With a lead form, I might be getting leads for $30. That means I can get 5 conversations versus 1, 5 more practices or at bats versus 1. So at the beginning, I'd rather go for volume anyways and just practice having a lot of numbers to call and practice having a lot of emails to follow up with. Now, here's my last piece, and then we're going to move on into the intro call. With lead forms and Messenger, most aren't going to schedule automatically. So I'm going to give you guys the same expectation that I give my clients. You have to call within 5 minutes, just like the clients, and you have to follow up 10 times, just like the clients. You can definitely automate the follow-up with high level in terms of the text and the emails that you follow up with. But if every lead is not getting 10 automated emails and texts through high level over a certain period of time, and they're not getting a ton of calls to go along with it, and you're not outbound calling, you're not going to have as much success with the system. So the moment that you guys get a phone number, someone to fill out a lead form, pick up the phone and call them. Don't wait for them to schedule. Pretend like none of them are going to schedule, or even on Messenger. Did you guys know that you can call people through Messenger? That's like one of the biggest hacks. Like, we call people through Messenger. We have our setters call people through Messenger. So like no one's getting phone calls. So if you get a phone call Messenger, you're also much more likely to pick up. You can either have your team call separately through another profile to someone that opts in. I don't actually know if you could do it right through the bot. Sergio, our sales manager, manages that whole process. So I'm not entirely sure. But the point is, for lead forms specifically, pick up the phone and call, and that's going to increase your chances of success. So I'll tell you guys a story to finish off. The people that I just mentioned that scaled to 150K a month, we were in Vegas for 10X, and we were actually with them. We were in the middle of lunch. This guy got a lead form, and it's extremely loud in Vegas. Like, there's just casino noise. Everything's like, it's just chaotic. This guy picks up the phone in the middle of lunch, calls the guy, and schedules him for a demo, and takes the call right then and there. Omer knows who I'm talking about. It's Colin and Dan. But
yeah, I've seen this happen a lot. But
yeah, I was trying to hire him, and steal him from Dan, but it didn't work out. Because this guy's just like, he did not care. He's in the middle of Vegas in like in a casino with all the noise. He picks up the phone, calls the lead. And guys, with that in mind, that is it for ads. I think it'll take way too long to go through the walkthrough, but guys, it's pretty self-explanatory. I gave you guys the entire breakdown, and you guys definitely are more than capable of figuring it out. So with that in mind, let's transition to day, I guess we can officially say this is day 7 now.
Joel, do you want to do a Q&A now for ads, or do you want to do a Q&A combined with what Omer's going to talk about at the end?
We have 8 minutes, and then technically it's Omer's turn. So
okay, let's just take 5 minutes and field. Let's run and gun some questions. If you raise your hand,
fast.
I'll get to you. Babak, let's go with you. If you have a quick question, and if your question is not relevant to what we're talking about, I'm going to skip to the next person respectfully. So go ahead.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, Joel, just wanted to ask you, how much does ad spend kind of play in the role of whether to use lead forms or make them go through a funnel? Does that matter or not?
So what's your question?
So my question is, should ad spend affect whether you use lead forms or a funnel to get the leads, or is it not relevant?
Were you here for yesterday by any chance?
Yes, I was.
I kind of broke down why we start with lead forms. We don't start with lead forms over funnel because it's better or worse. We start with it because we're trying to remove as many variables as possible at the beginning. So we want to essentially find a mechanism to generate the leads that isn't an entirely new variable, and being able to crack the code on a funnel is going to be much more complex than just using lead forms. So just like I talked about yesterday, if we use lead forms and we target a custom audience and proven interest, we only have to worry about the ad. But if we start with a funnel, now we're having to crack the code on 2 things. So you don't even, maybe it's your funnel that's not working and your ad is working just fine, but you don't know that. So it's like too many variables at once. That's why we start with lead forms and messenger ads.
Perfect. Thanks, man.
Let's go with Pavel.
Hey, what's going on?
Let's run and gun these guys. Let's go roll rapid fire real quick.
Awesome. So real quick, if I already have client video testimonials, would you suggest that I still run lead form ads, or would I do something like a landing page with all the video ads on there, or sorry, the video testimonials on there with a Calendly embed? Because I have run a funnel before and seen some success. So yeah, just wondering how I should do that.
If you have a converting funnel, run a funnel. But if you don't, start with lead form ads, even if you have clients. Like the example,
it's a little bit of a different niche.
What do you mean?
So I had the converting funnel in a slightly different niche. So this new niche, it's not. I mean, it's slightly different. So
start with lead forms. Yeah,
I would start with lead forms, and if it's converting, then you can add on to that and test the funnel. But again, you're trying to work through one variable at a time.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. It kind of defeats if we start with both, it kind of defeats the whole purpose, because we don't know what's working and what's not working. It's like, as soon as you get a converting ad, awesome. The offer resonated with the audience. We're good to go. Then you can add on the funnel and A and B test.
Okay. Gotcha. Thanks, man.
That's what I would do.
All right, let's go with Omer.
Yeah? You don't want to do 5 more minutes?
Let's just get to it. We'll have to do another Q&A at the end anyway, right?
Yes.
And we have Friday's pretty much going to be Q&A day as a whole. So
okay, I didn't know that. Okay, if that's the case, then up to you.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. Let's do that. So and by the way, I do have a hard cutoff in 20. So once Omer's kind of in flow, I'm gonna run. But Omer, do you have the slides, or are we going to complete flow?
Thanks for giving me a 24-hour heads up. So guys, I kind of like compacted this into 20 slides. There's going to be a lot of information, and most of the information I'm really going to be talking about similarly to what Joel's doing. But I just give you guys a bunch of notes and a lot of things that I wish I had when I joined Atlas, instead of just being thrown numbers and a shitty script. So here we are.
Wait, Paulson, should we stop recording and then start again? That way we can upload to YouTube as like yesterday part 2, and then.
Yeah, I think it's best. I have the production team already queued up, so yeah, we would just run it as day 7 all the way through together.
Okay, fair enough.
In the description, we'll divide it up where it says part 1, part 2, all of that in the description. But yeah, we'll keep it as one.
All right, cool. Omer, take it away.
Cool. So one thing I did not add into the slides is, I guess, my story. So I'll run through that really quick, and then we'll go into the actual intro call. So about 2.5 years ago, almost 3 years ago, one of my best friends, Marcos, called me and told me to fly over to Colorado to come check out his place. And, Marcos and I have been friends for a very long time. So I came over his place to Colorado. I saved up just enough money. I was working for Uber and Lyft. I was a broke college student, didn't really know what he was doing. Didn't really know about Joel, any of that good stuff. I fly over in March and I meet Joel. And to date, guys, I'm not kidding. When you guys, a lot of you guys, it's your first encounter with him. Maybe you've seen him around, all that good stuff. To date, I've never met someone more hardworking and dedicated and caring than Joel, by far. And I remember,
except you.
Except me at times. I think even you surpassed me. But I remember even when they had 3 or 4 clients and they were at 10K a month back in March, how committed and how dedicated Joel was to his chiropractic agency. I mean, guys, we're talking about 3 or 4 clients at this point. All he was talking about with Marcos is clients, how to get them results. How do we close more deals? And I'm sitting there, and I'm not gonna lie, I was in Colorado, so you guys can imagine what I was on. But I just remember sitting there and thinking, God, this guy is on a whole nother level. I've never seen this. He's 25, 26 years old. He's obsessed. Whatever, time flies by. 5-6 months later, him and Marcos offered me the job. And it was out of nowhere, guys. I had no idea. They called me on a random Saturday. I just got off work. I just
we were at a gas station. I remember.
You guys were at a gas station.
You.
I just came home from working at Uber. The day before they called me, I got accepted for a job at Whole Foods. I just paid for classes to go to school. I'm living with my parents. Life is, relatively okay. Nothing too crazy, nothing too boring and all that good stuff. And I turned them down. And Joel calls me a few days later and he's like, yo, dude, you're a fucking idiot if you do not take this opportunity to come work with us. If you don't take this opportunity, I promise you we're going to find someone else. Really think about it. And he really sat there and sold me, because Marcos was actually my best friend. He kind of was like, I'm already looking for someone else if you don't want to do this. But Joel did not give up on me. And this is a true story. I had literally $100 in my pocket. I drove from Georgia to Colorado. My parents gave me an extra like 100. So I had just enough money for food and gas to get there. My deal was like, yo, I get there, you guys give me $2K. So they gave me $2,000 as soon as I got there. I had no place to stay. The first week that I lived in Colorado, people don't know this, I stayed in my friend's van. One of my good friends I'm actually going to visit, he lives in a van. And I slept with him in a small ass compacted van, no money, no food.
I did not know that.
Nothing. Yes, I had no place. I remember thinking Joel and Mark is going to help me find a place, but they got a business to run. They're not going to help me find a place. So when Joel said, yeah, it took me months. Like, guys, it not only did it take me months to close, and you got to say, I was not very good, but also Atlas didn't have together. Like, their sales systems were awful. Any good salesperson would have left immediately, knowing what I know now. So for 3 months, they paid me approximately almost $7,000 to $8,000, and I did not bring the company a single penny. My job is to bring money to the company, and I did not bring a single dollar into the company. And I remember it took me 3 months to close half a deal. It was like a deal for $500. I was like, it's actually working. I remember running. I was at WeWork. I don't think it was this one, Joel, but it was another WeWork. And I remember running to the rooms like, well, someone. It was $500. And I knew this is a true story about it. All it took me was to know that I needed someone to trust me and someone to trust the process that we put together. After months and months and months of like failing and going through demos and going through intros and being turned down and all that stuff. And thankfully, I started closing, but it was still not good enough. January, Marcos and Joel sat me down. This is January 2019. They were like, yo, man, we love you and we appreciate you driving here. But at the end of the day, performance is, where we're at. If you don't sell at least $6,000 this month, we're going to have to find another solution. And here's the thing. Here's the reality of things for you guys. No matter what, whether it's intro calls, demo calls, ads, whatever you guys are going to hear today, you guys are either going to thrive under pressure or you're going to fold. That's it. And some people have it, some people don't, and that's okay. And here's the thing, in reality, because I just started a company as well. If I started this 2 years ago, I would fail miserably. So for me, the best thing was to partner up with Joel and Marcos and learn exactly what they were doing. So January, they put a $6,000, $6,000
quota.
Yeah, quota on me. And I closed $6,000 that week.
Dude,
And I
it's
end up
so hard
causing,
because we like you so
yes.
much. So it's like, how do you fire this guy? Like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know anyone that after some time with you, they don't love you. So it's like,
What's not to love?
it took a long time to get there too. Like,
it did.
And by the way, we love him so much. Appreciate your patience on the cursing, but we just are passionate. Okay?
Yes, I appreciate, and I apologize. I'm like Gary Vee when you guys are like, I'll try my best to keep the cursing to a low. I think there's a couple slides with some cursings, but I like to keep it real and I keep it like very legit with you guys. But anyways, I'm going to cut it short. $6,000. I ended up closing 20K in January. And then I have not closed under 50K in revenue besides COVID once. So to me, I was like, all right, I kind of cracked the code. I saw the company grow from 20, 30K a month, which is when they hired me, to over $270,000 a month. I was the only sales rep. I was doing a little bit of account managing. I really witnessed how to grow an agency, not how to start, because I do think that Marcos and Joel did the hardest part. And the hardest part, in my opinion, now speaking to thousands of agency owners, is going from 0 to 10K. As soon as you can crack 10K, everything else becomes a little bit, I don't want to say easier necessarily, but it becomes more simpler. It kind of falls into place. Most people don't get to the 0 to 10K. And I'll cover this again, because Joel is saying a lot of the things that I'm also going to talk about. The hardest thing in this industry, because again, I was blessed because we cracked paid ads 4 or 5 months after. So lead flow coming in, I never really had, besides in the beginning part, I didn't have an amazing appointment setting way. It was me cold calling, calling people that sent us emails. The hardest part to crack in this industry is to find a niche that you can consistently deliver on appointments. If you can consistently get 5 to 10 booked meetings on a regular basis, even if you're not good at sales, you will get good. If you don't get good, you can find someone to take these calls for you. But it's very hard. I'm seeing this, it doesn't matter what niche you guys choose. And I always say this to people that are, new in 7FA, people that don't even join whatever. I tell them that I promise you that if Joel and I left everything today and we started an agency in a saturated niche that's already been figured out, we would figure out how to get there at some point. And to me, that tells us that we just have experience and we've cracked the code on many of these little things. But anyways, guys, it's been it's been an insane journey. And I feel like I'm just getting started.
At this point, I've paid Omer out hundreds of thousands of dollars in commissions. I think record month, he did over 20K in commissions. So like this guy has absolutely gone on to not only crush it, but also do so with a huge heart and just willing to help and care for others, which is why I really hope to be doing business with Omer forever. Like I really do hope so. And that's kind of something that I really, really want to execute on for the rest of my life as long as I'm doing business. So
and that to me is everything. We're in a relationship business. If you guys hate people, you hate who you serve, it's going to be very hard to scale, right? I always say I hate people, but I like random people that are in the elevator. But I love helping people that are in business, right? And marketing, they need my help and service. I genuinely do love that. So with that being said, I want to pull up here the intro call slides. And again, you guys are going to get a lot more content, and there's a lot of words on here and a lot of writing. So I just was like, yeah, you know what? They're going to get a lot more from me actually talking about it. So let me pull this up here. All right. So introduction, obviously digging into pain points and qualifying the right people, right? And I used to say, oh, qualify everyone, but it's really qualifying the right people, because if you guys try to help everyone, guess what? You're going to end up helping no one. That is my quote. That is why we tell you guys to pick a niche and choose one, because when I got to Atlas, I remember they were going after stem cells and dentists. I remember getting on a call with a chiropractor and then a dentist and realizing this is a completely different ballgame. There are two different people here. So as soon as we took away dentists, took away stem cells, and we just focused full on chiropractic, I started understanding how this operation really works. So my goal over here, for as long as we're here, is really to show you guys how to qualify people and really get to book meaningful demos. That way you guys are not wasting your time with people you should not be wasting your time with.
Omer, can you take one step back?
Yes.
Can you just give like a 30-second overview of the intro and demo and kind of just explain?
I'm actually, yes. Okay. That makes sense. Yeah. So the intro call is the initial call you guys are having with this person, the qualifying call. We call it the intro call. Some people call it discovery call. It's really to make sure that these people are in your niche, they need your help, and you are able to help them out. And the demo is to actually walk them through what you do and how you've been able to help others, or if you haven't yet, how you're going to be able to help others in the future, and really walk them through it and explain to them how everything works. Right.
Omer, can you stop sharing for a sec?
Yep.
I think for anyone watching this, I'm going to just break it down again one more time to be very, very clear. Our sales process is a two-step process. First, we hop on a quick call with them to, like Omer said, to qualify them, make sure that they have a problem that we can solve and that we can actually solve it. Then we take them on to day 2, which we'll talk about tomorrow, which is going to be an actual demonstration where we actually have a presentation that we walk them through it.
Yep.
Today, we're going to be covering the first part, which is that initial call to just make sure that there's a good fit. And for example, let's say that we're running an ad and we call someone that filled out our lead form. What do we say on that first initial call? This is what we're going to be talking about. Or let's say that someone says, yeah, I can definitely talk to you at 3 p.m. on Thursday. Awesome. You get that booked appointment. This is that first part of what to say. Does that make sense, guys? Drop a 1 if it does. Drop a 1 below if it does.
Cool. So
I also want to say one more thing super quickly. Everyone is saying freaking out over the messenger calls. Here's what I'm saying. If you, I just want to address this really quickly. If you are in a conversation with someone on Messenger that opted in and you're like, what time can I call you at? Awesome. I'll give you a call. You also don't have to just pick up and randomly call people. Just want to throw that out there. Whatever floats your boat. Don't overcomplicate it again, guys. Keep it simple.
Yes.
Figure out what works for you and your niche and go for it.
Yes. Cool. So what are we going to cover? I'm going to give a couple of first things first. And you guys heard Joel say this, and this was my number one problem, is doing market research on your clients. So just like you guys have to do that when you're running ads, you have to do that when you're calling them. Because if you know one thing and you don't know the other, it's going to be a very awkward, long call that you do not want to have. Trust me on that. Been there, done that, ignore it. So do market research by cold calling. People say, how do I do market research? Cold call. Maybe you know someone in your family or friends in your Facebook groups, Instagram. There's so many ways to market research. You know what's way easier is not to do market research. So if you want to do market research, you will find ways to do it. The other thing is having a script on hand at all times. I remember coming to Joel's house, and when I didn't bring my script, Marcos would scream at me. He would literally grab me by my throat because we had to print it out every time. So I remember then I travel quite a lot. So I have this cover, and here I'd have all my scripts, right? You can have objections and notes and things that can help you out. That helped me tremendously. And these are a couple of things that I know and people will kind of skip over, but being well rested, taking care of yourself. If you're in a terrible state of mind, you have emergencies going on, please reschedule calls. Please make sure that, these people are not, getting on a call with you. I know, like for me, if I'm on 2-3 hours sleep, I don't want to talk to anyone. So how can you sell someone? How can you go about their problems? You have your own problems to deal with. So reschedule calls. It's better if you never talk to them in the first place than just sounding completely. And I've seen both of them on there, by the way. So, and I like to, this is my example. And I love sports, right? You want to be in their state of mind. And I actually picked these specific pictures besides the Conor McGregor one, because these are the championship games. You need to put yourself in LeBron's mindset, and Tom Brady and Messi and all these professional athletes that play in the biggest sporting events. Again, there's so much pressure on them. So much pressure on them. Think about it, the millions that are watching them, the feeling they're counting on them. It's the same thing for you guys, but it's just a lot more one-on-one, right? So again, some of you guys are going to thrive under pressure. Some of you are going to fold, and it's okay. You just got to get there, find that out quick, because otherwise you're going to waste a lot of time. So what we're really going to cover today is the 2 types of intro calls, the inbound and outbound, how to handle certain objections, crafting the perfect quote unquote script, when to disqualify, and then the transition from the intro to the demo call. So 2 types of calls. There's the intro call, and then there's the demo call. And by the way, let me do this. So the first thing we're going to cover is the inbound calls. And the reason I want to cover this first is because by far, this is what's going to help you guys get to the level you want to get to. As soon as I see people consistently getting inbound calls, and my computer's being a little slow. As soon as I see people getting inbound calls, and typically that's from paid ads, which is what you guys are covering with Joel, those are the people that are typically winning. And a lot of times we have a client, Dr. Connor Robertson, for instance, who's crushing the organic game, right? He gets a lot of his inbound from LinkedIn and I think cold email and other ways. So I didn't really necessarily say paid ads. I'm saying inbound. And what that means is that people are booking on your calendar. They are interested in something they saw in a hook, in a picture. They're coming to you. These are warm leads, which means that we have to treat them like warm leads, which I'll explain in a little bit here. And again, my biggest thing, and this is always, I want you guys to remember this forever, especially when it comes from inbound leads. These people are buying from someone. The question is, are they buying from you? You're not the only demo they're taking. You're not the only intro call they're scheduling. You're not the only person they're talking to. There's going to be somebody else. The question is, are they going to buy from you? So here's my few tips when it comes to inbound. First things first, with these calls, you're able to take your time and really dive in, right? Do not rush these calls. With inbound, a lot of times what I used to do and what I used to mess up is I used to kind of be quick with it when I actually can dive in a little bit deeper. But what happens is when you dive deeper, it gives them the advantage to also ask questions, which is totally fine. That's actually okay on this call. They're interested. You don't need to pique their interest. You don't need to catch them. They're coming to you, which means that you have all the leverage. You have the leverage. You can take your time, right? You have a lot more of a chance to build rapport with these people, right? You can learn where they're located at. That's like literally my opening line. It's like, hey, Paulson. Hey, Paulson, this is Omer. How's it going? We have a call booked for today. Oh, awesome. So I see you have 404 number. Are you in Atlanta? Oh, that's awesome. I actually I was raised there, went to school there. Did you go to school there as well? It's things like that. I love, there's two things that every person will be able to open up to you about is where they're located at and their weather. That's it. Family might be too personal, right? Income, too personal. Some people don't like sports. Some people don't like politics. Please don't never talk politics, sports, or religion. Sports here and there, but politics, religion, stay away from. So the two things you're always going to be able to real rapport with is the city, state, and weather. The easiest things, and it's quick because you never know where someone's located at, and that way you can actually build rapport. They could be from your hometown. As soon as they're from your hometown, like the amount of people that I build rapport from and that are from Atlanta, the Alpharetta area is amazing. So number 3 here is diving into the pain is what matters. That's it. You can build all their rapport, love them, blah, 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 blah. There's got to be some sort of pain. And where I think a lot of people mess up, where I used to mess up as well, is I used to force pain out of them. I used to try to get the pain out of them. And here's a great example. And Joel can actually go to his Instagram right now because there's a 3-way chat. And this guy is crushing in the agency space, crushing it. 30 clients, closing back and ask him, hey, what's your biggest bottleneck? Because I have nothing right now. I will have bottlenecks, but I have nothing. So to me, that tells me, okay, well, let me see where I can help you with, but I'm not going to force it out of you. And a lot of times you guys try to force these pains out of them when in reality, some of these people don't have pain. In reality, some people are actually window shopping. They want to see what's out there. There are people that are crushing it without Facebook ads because they are in an amazing location. For instance, chiropractic, they have an amazing location downtown and they have hundreds of referrals. I know a chiropractor that sees thousands of patients a week. They're doing millions of dollars a year. And he just started running Facebook ads this year. They've been in practice for 15 years. So that tells me that there are people, not a lot, that marketing does not value to them. So you guys got to bring out that pain naturally. And I'll show you guys with the script how we actually bring that out. I would say, like, if you guys heard my first few sales calls from August, October, November of 2018, I would be blocked from Go High Level. Like they would block my account, they would block my name, they would block my existence. I wouldn't be here. They were so bad. I mean, guys, I was so bad, like literally the worst of the worst. Joel had to walk out of the room. I remember the time. He probably doesn't remember this. He heard me take a cold call. He was so embarrassed that he walked downstairs and we never walked on the same floor again. And by the way, this is like month 2, month 3. It's like the point where like, yo, okay,
I just stopped.
Do you guys not have a bro moment?
No. The bro moments were like, yo, like what are we doing?
We need you to close, bro. That's the bro moment.
Literally. But here's the reality of things is that I did not have booked calls. All my calls were cold calls, right? So as soon as I kind of figured out a way to go through my frameworks, go through the process, get comfortable with understanding who I'm talking to. I always say this, and I wish someone told me this. I literally became, I don't want to say literally, I indirectly became a chiropractor. So when they talk to me, they feel like they are talking to someone in their field and they start trusting me immediately. Which is why when I talk now to agency owners, it's so much easier to relate to them because I've actually gone through the process, right? So it's the same thing for you guys. If you know nothing about realtors, you can't tolerate them. Dude, move, stop talking to them. There's so many other niches. So, and here's an example. As much as I love chiropractors now, and I actually see one every week and I genuinely believe in them, dentists, I don't want to talk to. I don't like. I think there's like things that they are doing that's great. Of course, I see dentists are important. I just don't want to talk to them. I can tolerate chiropractors, cannot tolerate dentists, just with my experience. So you guys got to find that out and find that quick. And the best way to do that is actually calling them, actually going through the process and understanding, reaching out to someone that is doing really well, right? When someone reached out to me and Joel about chiropractic, we always give them the answer, right? Our first client with 7FA, our first client, I'll never forget, was maybe not the first, but one of the first ones was a chiropractic agency. And I remember hopping on calls with them and going through the whole process, everything that I do. And 2 months later, I had my biggest month in selling because we come from a level of abundance. This is very important. And this is probably the most important thing that I've said so far, which is number 7. On the intro call, whether it's inbound, outbound, doesn't matter how it comes, you're selling 2 things. Number 1, you're selling yourself, your tonality, the person that you are. And you can't really do that with like words. You can do that with your tonality and excitement and energy. And then you're selling the demo. That's it. There's no talk about pricing. There's no talk about Facebook ads, none of that. If they ask questions, you have to stay vague with it. Yeah, we do everything from Google ads to Facebook to YouTube to whatever. The question is, the reason I'm asking these questions is actually to see exactly what it is that you're needing, what system would be best for you. And then if it makes sense for you systematically and financially, we can begin working together. And I'll show you guys how I transition into this. And I always keep it vague. How much does it cost? Oh, that's a great question. Well, and you can do this, by the way, in 2 ways. You can give them like a range. And people have paid us anywhere from $100 a month up to $10,000 a month. It just depends, again, what you're doing. That could be a little too direct. You can also say, look, if the system does not make sense to you at all, and this is not what you're looking for, it doesn't matter if it's $17, you will not pay me. So the first thing that I got to make sure that this is exactly what it is that you're looking for and that we are actually able to work together. Because I never lose people on money. I lose people on value. If you do not value what I'm showing you, you will not pay me $17. There's no way. So let's put the money aside and go into it. And by the way, guys, I have a whole Q&A slide at the end. So please write your questions and we'll get to that at the very end. And I know you guys are also doing the thing. So that's my questions about inbound leads. I know Joel likes this picture here. Overcoming objections on the intro call. So this is very important. This is something Sergio actually called me out on, because some of you guys are in marketing agency secrets, and we did like a whole objection handling training. And he was like, dude, I hate that. Why did we do an objection handling training where you should in first place avoid objections? If you know you're good, when you can catch objections before they actually come up and you bring them out of them. Because if they're at the end of the call giving you objection, you didn't do a good plot. You did not do a good job. Which is why I make sure that everybody's on the same page at all times. But there are going to be objections, and there are going to be people that no matter what you say and how you act, they're just going to come up. With inbound, again, guys, this is super duper important. You have the leverage. They are coming to you. They're booking a call with you. They're booking on your calendar. They took a time to fill out maybe a form. Maybe it was your Calendly questions. They are taking time off their day to book on your calendar. You have the leverage. And in your head, you need to know that, okay, they're definitely talking to someone else. The fact that I have them now, I have to take advantage of this now. And I'll explain to you where I messed up. I wish I can go back. And again, someone tell me this. But again, you have the leverage, and the leverage is everything, because when you
guys, just to clarify really quickly, and then I'm going to have to run. You have to keep in mind, when we say inbound versus outbound is when you're reaching out to them. Inbound is when they're booking on your calendar. Just want to make that clear. So we talked about running ads versus sending messages out. When you're sending messages out, it's outbound. Yes. When you're running an ad and they're booking on your calendar because they went through your ad and they clicked and they scheduled, that's inbound.
Correct.
So I wanted to just throw that in there. Guys, I do have to run. Omer, you got this, man. Freaking love you. Paulson, appreciate you. Guys, I'll see you all tomorrow for round 2. And enjoy your time with Omer.
Cool. Thank you, Joel.
So
awesome. As you guys can see, bullet 3 is these people, right? Insert the niche, have different goals, right? This is why you want to really dive into where they're at, right? Again, I've talked to chiropractors that are making millions of dollars, and that was their goals to make tens of millions. And then I talked to chiropractors that just want to get to 10K, 20K a month, right? So you have to find out where this person's at and how you can help them. Because here's one thing that I learned, and we learned as well by losing clients, unfortunately, is overwhelming your client is not a good thing. Underwhelming your client's not a good thing. So you have to find the medium. Some people just want to get right enough and they'll pay you over the rest of your life as long as you can get them there. And some people have the expectation through the roof. Again, I'll let Joel dive more into that. And tomorrow we'll go really over more objections with the demo. But like what I like to say is 99% of the time, people do not move forward because the money, the system, or you. And I would say 99% of the 99%, it's the money or the system. If it's you stop being you. But if it's the money in the system, you're able to counter that, right? You can negotiate, right? I'm not saying change your system, but maybe you know someone that can help them out. Maybe there's a thing that you can add onto your system. There are definitely ways to overcome this. The real question is, I find out these things way before I pitch them. I don't pitch someone that I think that definitely doesn't have the money or the system is not meant for them. I've stopped demos halfway if I'm like, you don't want this. You literally do not want this. You're not interested. Why are we wasting your time? Again, $17, you're not going to pay for it. So there's no way that this person's going to pay $2,000 because you guys know you're expensive. Anyone that's charging over $500 a month is relatively expensive. The average income, the average person in the US, I think I might be butchering this a little bit, has about $3,000 to their name in the US. So $500, that's like almost half their money. It's a lot of money for them. So we got to be very sure and certain that these people are in need. And again, I'll talk about that more tomorrow on the demo call. So the transition into the demo is very smooth and very simple. I used to overcomplicate it. I used to do this. And this is literally, quite literally, the quotation is exactly what I say, right? So awesome. To make sure I got everything right, Paulson, looks like, obviously you're going after chiropractors, after chiropractic patients. You're seeing about 30 patients a week right now. Your goal is to get to about 100. By the end of the first quarter, you want to get to about 50 to 100 patients. And the goal is to increase your revenue by $10,000 a month and blah, blah, blah. Anything else that you told me? You have a couple of kids and any other things that you told me. Am I missing anything? No? Awesome. So really the next step is where I can actually show you everything that we do, walk you through the system. Right? Talk is cheap, so let me actually show it to you. And if it makes sense for you systematically and financially, we can proceed to the next steps and begin working together. And this is very important because I plant the seed that if it makes sense system-wise, number one is system, and number two is money, we're going to work together. We're going to figure a way out. But if the system doesn't make sense, and the finances definitely don't make sense, there's no way we're going to work together. And here's where I messed up, and I want you guys to take this from me because I probably missed out on it. Look, Joel paid me 20K. Imagine he could pay me 30, 40, 50K. If I did this one thing. What I used to do on these intro calls, no matter where there was booked on my calendar or it was an outbound, I used to always book them for a second call, no matter what. I never asked them if they have time now. I never, ever asked them. And I actually was supposed to change this. So like, I'll change that right now so you guys can see this. But I never used to ask them if they have time now. I used to just ask them, do you have time tomorrow or next week to do this? I used to kind of blow it off to see if maybe they need a couple of days, blah, blah, blah. When in reality, guys, always ask them if they have time now. Always ask them. Always try to do, even though it sounds like a one-call close, it's not, because you're essentially doing two calls. One call is very different. One call is when I know no matter what, it's a one-call close. I'm not booking any. There's no way I'm booking a second call. So I always ask them. Oh, and it's actually on here. So do you have time now or later today for this call? That's the first thing. The second thing I ask them is, can you be in front of a computer for me? I actually now that I'm more focusing on 7FA, I don't care if they're in front of a computer or phone. But when I'm selling agencies, it is freaking crucial for them to be on a computer. If they're on the phone, driving, at a kid's party, doing some things that are just, I don't have their full attention, I'm not taking the demo. I need them in front of a computer in a quiet setting where I have their full attention. I just need to do this one time. I'm not doing this demo 17 times. So the one time that I ask them to do it, please let that happen. And then last but not least, you absolutely have to find out at some point. It's even better if you do this before you ask it here. I like to do it before, but some, as long as you do it, I don't care. It's asking if they have any other business partners or is there another pair of eyes that need to see this? And I asked that very nonchalant because I used to ask that very aggressive. Do you have a business partner that needs to see this? Now I said, like, hey, is there anyone else that needs to see this or any other pair of eyes, or do you just see this by yourself? Okay, perfect. So you're the sole decision maker? Okay, perfect. So I lower my tonality. Okay, you're the sole decision maker. Because I used to ask it like a little bit more aggressive and people would get pissed. Yeah, I'm the sole decision maker. I'll make the decision. It's like, dude, I just need to know if you're like, there's not going to be anyone else, because I know a lot of you guys have heard, oh, let me go speak to this person. Let me go speak to that person. I don't take calls. Literally, guys, I will not take a call if not all decision makers on there. If there's two business partners and one of them says, I can make the decision, I tell them, okay, great. Can you make a decision today without your business partner? Yeah, I don't need to run this by him. Perfect. Awesome. Let's get started. I don't need him either. But the reality of 50-50, I'm just thinking Joel and Marco's doing this business, Paulson, right? And all the partners, there's no way that they would trust you to make thousands of dollar decisions, especially with small business, without the other person knowing everything. And you guys are going to go through so much. There's no way they can translate that. So you're actually doing them the service, and you will lose more deals and lose more time by not taking the call with both decision makers. This is very important. Again, learn from my flaws. Cool. So that is it as far as, let me see if I don't know if I skipped something. As far as outbound, we're going to go into inbound now, right? And inbound.
No, we're going the opposite. We're We just finished inbound. We're going outbound.
Yes. Sorry. So we're going, before we actually do that, we're going to create the perfect script for the inbound, because there's something a little bit different than I do with outbound. So now creating the perfect script. Obviously, I'm not going to give you guys the exact scripting that we use, because it's very like chiropractic centric. So I want you guys to, these are, I would say this is pretty good. There are going to be more questions that you want to ask. So obviously, the first thing when you take the call, confirm confirm the person, the time's working, where they're located at, and then I dive in. What I used to say is like, hey, so what I want to do is I want to ask you a few questions, see if it makes sense, blah blah blah. If you guys ask that and it works, great. I don't like it. I just jump right in. I'm like, all right, great. So what made you schedule the call with me for today? Right? They scheduled the call with you. What made you schedule the call with me for today? You want them to hear, right? Essentially what started. And then I dive into what I call the history. I want to know everything about their marketing history. I want to know who they're working with now, who they worked with in the past, how long have they done it for, how much did they get paid to do this, why it worked, why it didn't. Are they looking to add on an extra service? Maybe they're doing Google SEO and they want a Facebook service. Are they looking to just completely replace this person? Why did it not work? I said this just a few seconds ago, but literally ask them, why did it not work? Get to know exactly why did it not work. And once I feel like, okay, I know everything about their history, now let's move into a question that makes sense for some niches and doesn't make sense for others. For chiropractic, for instance, or in real estate, right? Buyers or sellers. Chiropractic, do you want long-term patients, or do you just do 1-2 visits? Right. So there, again, you need to start your niche. You want to know what kind of clientele are you going to send them, because a lot of your ads are targeting a specific prospect for them. And if they're looking for a whole other type of prospect, you're not going to be able to help them. And I don't want you guys to create a whole campaign tailored for this one person. When you're scaling and you're doing 50, 60, you can do that, sure. In the beginning, if you start doing that, you're going to do that for every person. You're going to have a different campaign. It's very hard to scale that. It's very hard to, it's really hard to scale. So again, history, learn what kind of business are they actually looking for. And this is something that I actually, again, wish I did this earlier, but I started doing this towards later last year and earlier this year, and it worked amazing. What I used to ask is what are their current numbers and where are their current numbers? And then I asked them the goals. And I always used to get pushback, no matter if it's inbound or outbound. And not always, I would get pushback here and there, but I would just get pushback in general. And in my head, I'm like, why am I getting pushback? And it's because most people are not content, not happy, and they don't want to talk about their numbers. Someone that's crushing it typically talks to you about the numbers. Most people are not, which is why they're on the call in the first place. But what most people don't shy away from is their goals. If a person shies away from his goals and they don't want to tell me their goals, that is a ginormous red flag. Just imagine if you're hiring a personal trainer and you come in there and he asks, okay, great. So where do you want to be in like 4 months? I'm not going to tell you. Oh, how much do you weigh now? Nah. There's just no way. You cannot have a conversation with someone like that, right? That personal trainer is going to be like, all right, you're out. Like, I'm not going to work with you. That's how I want you guys to think about this, right? So what used to happen is that I used to ask them about their now, but in reality, they don't want to talk about the now. They just want to talk about their goals, where they want to get to. So let's talk about their goals. Let's create a plan right there and then. So what do you want to be in the next 3 to 4 months by the end of the first quarter? And where do you want to be in the next 12 months? Right? So what do you think is holding you back? Like, you've done all this marketing, you've tried all these things. What's holding you back from getting there? Right? I'm diving deep. I want them to, because the people are smarter than you guys think. Even though a lot of people are, it's funny, I read a quote. It said, finding extraterrestrial life, finding intelligent life outside of Earth is easy. Finding intelligent life on Earth is hard. Thought it was pretty funny. But look, most people actually kind of understand like where they want to get to and where they are now. And you guys have to assess that. So once I feel comfortable with the goal setting and actually hearing their goals in my head, I know what my prices are. I know how much ad spend is. I know what their cost per lead is, especially some people are very, very detailed about that stuff. In my head, I'm like, all right, perfect. I can help them. So with that being said, and then this is where the assumption comes in. If you tell me in the next 3 to 4 months, you want to be at 40 to 50K a month, I'm assuming that you're at least halfway there. So I'm like, okay, so you're about, well, I'm assuming you're about 20, 25K. And then they're going to open up, no. Oh, not even close. I'm at 10K. I'm at 15K, right? Because now I focus on their goals. I focus where they want to get to. And I assume that they were crushing it, right? Unless they just told me they're awful and they're not telling me numbers. I assume where they're at. And then they're going to tell me their actual number. Now I know their number. And that number is for me. Number 6 is for you guys. Because now you know where they're at. So you know if charging them 2K, 3K, 4K is going to make sense. If someone's doing 5K a month, please guys, do not charge them anything less than $500 a month. If you want to help them, sure. You cannot charge them a fifth or a third of their cost because they might have rent. They might have all this overhead that you guys don't even know about. So another question that could be great here to add on is, what's their overhead like? Right? What's their overhead like? Right? How did COVID impact their business? Their businesses in e-com specifically, if you guys are going to e-com, blew up with COVID. COVID was the best thing that ever happened to their business. Most businesses are not like that, right? Brick and mortar businesses, chiropractic, dentistry, right? Real estate firms, crushed, did not do well. I want to hear that from them and see how can we avoid the situation, because there could be another pandemic, right? And now we're a little bit more prepared. So did you guys see how I'm taking my time here? I'm diving deep, right? Why? This is a very important question. Did not start asking this until this year. Why now? Especially now, if you guys are taking intros and demos in December, why now? Why not wait until next year? In a sense, I almost want to push them to next year, so that way they can talk themselves into doing it now. I'm very, very pushy and stingy with my product and service. And where most people are going to take their, excuse my language, a lot of you guys are demo whores. You will take a demo with anyone that is on your call. Anyone. Doesn't matter what your niche is. You're demo whores. You'll be with anyone. So in my head, I'm like, I want to be stingy. I want to work with the right people. I want to create lifelong partnerships, not for 1 month. We're in recurring business, and I'm going to talk about it a little bit more. So, and then after you get this, then we're transitioned into the demo. By the way, I probably should have switched these slides, but again, 24-hour notice, so I kind of put this together. Cool. That is it for inbound, right? You got a script, diving deep, pain points, we're building rapport through the call. We have leverage. We're asking questions. We're getting to know this person, and then we're booking the demo. We're asking them if they have time now, right? We're asking them, hey, do you have time now? If not, no worries. Let's book it for later today. Oh, okay. Let's try tomorrow. Let's try the next day. You have a 72-hour period to book the demo. If you try to book it after the 72 hours, it's going to be hard. What's that, Paul?
Yeah, let's do something real quick. So one thing I can tell you guys, the way Omer sells is not the same way I sell, but I do know there's one commonality. We both follow a similar framework in how we were taught sales. Omer is, he's high energy. He's like ready to go. He's like ready to punch somebody in the mouth. That's just the way he functions. I am not like that. I'm not like super high energy. I'm more of like a, what is the word? I'm like a book reader. I'm like an intellect where I just like, there's like a calmness to my voice, my tonality, right? So I follow the same framework as what Omer does as well. And so do a lot of the other solid sales guys in general. So just real quick, what we just talked about in the last 45 minutes is actually just a 3-minute phone call or messenger call or whatever call. Everything that we layered out is a very short interaction to make sure you don't waste your time on the wrong demo. Right? This is a gating. You're gating your business right here, right now, right? So, Omer, if you're down for it, I'm going to practice with you on how I do an intro call following your framework, right?
Sure.
So let's just say Facebook ads and somebody opted in and they didn't book an intro call, right? But I know that they came inbound to my business, right? So they get on, so I call them.
Oh, this is Omer.
Hey, Omer, hey, this is Paul. Just wanted to reach out to you. I saw that you responded to one of our Facebook advertisements for your business.
Yeah, you just popped up. It sounded interesting.
Awesome, man. I just want to be careful with my time, and I want to respect your time as well. If you don't mind, I'm going to ask 2 questions and go from there.
Sure.
How'd you get into this business? What brought you into this industry? And I'll share what brought me into this industry.
Yeah, it could be anything. Like, my dad was doing it, and then I just, fell in love. It's a family business.
Awesome, man. Are you one of the decision makers?
I am.
Awesome. Tell me a little bit about your business. How's volume like right now?
It's a bit slow. It's winter, Christmas time, so not the best.
Okay, cool. Thanks for being very transparent with me. One of the first things that we got to make sure is that when we partner up with somebody like you, that you can handle the volume that we bring in. My second question, have you ever done anything before to bring in leads or referrals to your business?
I have. I went through Facebook ads, SEO, Google ads. Nothing really worked. Spent thousands of dollars. Just I don't know what's gonna help.
Okay, got it. And that's typically what I hear from a lot of the other owners as well. Here's what we do. We work with business owners just like yourselves, and we generate referrals and leads. And matter of fact, instead of just throwing those all at you on a Google sheet, we'll use our own proprietary software and convert those leads to about 70% of the way. And at that point, we would like for you to just handle those appointments. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Awesome, man. Here's the thing. I want to make sure that we're a good fit. And what I would love to do is actually show you on a Zoom call our system and let you decide whether this system would make sense for your business. And I don't want to be too salesy. I just want to see if there's a match here for us to be good referral partners. Before I continue, does it make sense for you to invest into this problem?
Yeah, I mean, if, I've already invested, so I have low expectations.
Got it. I mean, how much ROI have you gotten on what you invested into so far?
Very little.
Okay, well, let's talk about it on the call. And I want to just first show you if this is a good fit, and then we can go from there. Can we set up a time tomorrow in the morning? And I'll bring in my business partners. And if you have another one, go ahead and bring your partner. Okay, cool.
Yep.
I'll send out links. And can you make sure you're in front of a computer?
Yep.
Do you have kids and all these things and anything that would distract you?
No, I'm single.
Okay, awesome, buddy. I appreciate your time.
Yep.
So thanks for spending 5 minutes with me. I'll talk to you tomorrow, and let's make a business decision together tomorrow.
Beautiful. So when Paulson says he sells differently than me, he literally sells differently than me. Like I would never do that, but it works. In the end of the day, guys, everything I'm showing you guys here, I didn't want to make this like a script, use this, use that. I wanted to give you guys, hey, here's what's working for me. Take this and make it your own. Tomorrow, you're going to see that we have a really long demo. I know people that were like, dude, this is way too long. They make it 5 slides and it works. You have to find what works for you. What works? I took a little bit from Joel. I took a little bit from Marcos. I took a little bit from Joan Belford, a little bit from Grant Cardone. And the greatest salesperson, in my opinion, that you guys are sleeping on, that you should watch his podcast and his everything, is Russell Brunson. That is the best salesperson of all time. I witnessed this person. This man sold $4 million of ClickFunnels at 10x with a pitch deck. And he changed. After I saw that, I was like, oh my God, that changed everything for me. Because I saw how he went through it, how he was, there's thousands of people there. So to me, he is the best salesperson ever. Go watch his podcast, go listen to some of his speeches, see how he pitched. What you guys are doing is one-on-one. Imagine doing one in front of tens of thousands of people. Very, very interesting. And it's the same thing. It's like $3,000, $4,000. But
yeah, definitely, guys. This is a framework that you've got to follow, right? It's making sure your services match their problem, and that problem needs to be solved today. If those 3 things doesn't correlate, there's no point in a demo.
Right.
And also you being the right person solving that problem, right? That's what you got to really look at. It's not about one script versus another. Of course, you should have scripts and all these things to keep you organized and make sure you don't drop anything, right? But Omer, let's go ahead and go right back into the slides and finish it up, man. Was that helpful, guys, or was I deviating too much?
If that was helpful, drop a 1 again. This is what's working for Paulson. He's been doing this for a long. This is not new for him. So he's doing it to show you guys what's working for him. Cool. We're almost done. We're just going to go over a few more things here, and then I'll let you guys crush the rest of your week. So now we're going to talk about outbound. And the reason I wanted to focus really on inbound is because that is the goal. Your goal is to get inbound. The faster you guys can figure out how can I get people to book on my calendar, the faster you're going to scale, the faster you're going to attract the salesperson for the job, the faster you're going to be able to learn about this industry. And this is why it's way harder. It is way harder to get inbound working consistently than outbound. Point blank, period. So let's talk about outbound, right? So outbound, you are chasing these people. You're fishing for these people. You're actually going out there and whether it's cold calling, whether it's voicemail drops, whether it's LinkedIn, whether it's Facebook and Instagram messages, you are fishing, right? You are the person that you're essentially coming from a place of desperation, right? Because you need them, especially when you're in the start. And that's okay. Everybody needed business in the beginning. So it wasn't like most products don't just arrive and they're amazing off the get-go. Most products take time and you have to fish. You have to go door to door and do all the things that you might not want to do. But guess what? If you have a good service and you know what you're doing and you're good at selling, you're eventually going to crack the code. So in my opinion, just doing both, and I did outbound. I still do outbound actually. It requires a lot more skill and it requires a lot more patience. And I think most agencies and most salespeople that I talk to lack either or both, because this is hard and it's going to take time and it does require skill. Where inbound, it's like you can plug in someone and they're good at sales. They take 10 demos a day. They'll close 1 or 2 people. So that's when I realized the reason for months I was struggling, but as soon as we started running ads, I never had a bad month because I went through the trenches. I went through hell to learn the industry and learn how to sell. So as when you started booking people on my calendar, it was a joke. It's literally a joke. So these people are looking to buy from me. All I have to do is just ask them a couple questions, show them a demo. Well, here I have to fish. I have to get creative. And I'll talk about this in just a minute, right? The name of the game with outbound is quantity over quality. You are mass sending everybody cold emails, thousands of messages on Facebook, LinkedIn, all that stuff. It's just a matter of getting a lot of people to respond. That's it. And I'll explain, because there is a strategy here that you guys need to utilize in order to actually qualify these people, which we'll talk about in just a minute here. But here's a few tips on outbound. With outbound, when you get on calls with them, almost like what Paulson did, right? The difference with Paulson, what Paulson just did is that I came to him in a sense. He called me, but I came to him. With these people that you're randomly calling, right? Cold calling, voicemail drops, whatever, and they may respond, they may not. You know how many emails they're responding to a day? When you're calling them, you have 3 to 5 minutes to catch their attention and get the most important information out of them. If you are sitting there and you're trying to do a 10, 15, 20, 30 minute talk, unless they're amazing and cool and you have built amazing rapport, go for it. That is not the case most of the time. 80 to 90% of the time, you got 3 to 5 minutes to get exactly what you need to book the next call so you can show them everything, right? Again, volume is the name of the game here. I have a quote that I live and die by because it's so true. The more you call, the luckier you get. The more you call the office, the more you call the person, the more likely they are to answer someone. Here's a side note tip that I didn't add up to here, and you guys are lucky to even hear this because I did not even think about this. I have 3 different numbers that I call from. I have an Eastern number, I have a Midwest number, and I have a West Coast number. And I call people at different times, so they never know when I'm texting them. I also have an iPhone. Do you guys know what the greatest text message of all time? I have the highest response rate in the industry.
The blue message back.
The blue message back, correct. But some of you guys don't have an iPhone, so you don't have to switch to the iPhone. But this text message I'm about to tell you guys changed everything for me. Literally, I'm telling you, I have the highest response rate in the industry. I want to see who's on here. I'm going to call it someone real quick. How do I go to chat? Here we go. I see a couple people. So there's Gene, there's Steven, there's Anna. The best response of all time, because I used to say, hey, Gene, this is Omer from Atlas Digital. I see that you filled out, I see that you responded to an email in regarding to patient referrals. And I was wondering, do you have a few minutes to chat? And I used to send that blast to everybody. And I would get maybe 1 or 2 out of 10 to respond. But you know where his message they responded to all the time? Gene, question mark? Ryan, question mark? Steve, question mark? Justin, question mark? I literally send that message all the time. So if you guys ever see your name and a question mark texted to you, it's probably me trying to sell you something. Because as soon as I get a response from you, I'm in. You might not respond to me again, but now I know you're there and I know that's your right number, right? So that is something that and this is where number 3 gets in here. I got creative. Marcos and Joel gave me the tools, but they didn't give me everything I needed. They didn't. I'm gonna be real with you guys. But guess what? That is why I started earning the money that I started earning, because I started getting creative with my approach. Right? A lot of you guys have the cold email masterclass. If you don't, you can feel free to shoot me a DM and I'll hook you guys up. That cold email masterclass, I partially created it because I kept not getting responses from cold email. So then I kept on changing it. And then we got one that kept on responding. And then now we have 10,000 people that have used this cold email masterclass, which has been really, really powerful.
Let me clarify something for a lot of you. I know yesterday we talked about ads, right? Mm-hmm. So one thing Omer will probably confirm for me, in the beginning, 40% of the leads are going to be from ads. 60% is going to be from everything else that you have in play. You cannot live and die by ads in the beginning, because guess what? You're still fine-tuning your offers, your industries. You're still figuring it out. That can just get dropped off all of a sudden. Then you don't even have a sales department if that happens. Right. So 40% is going to be ads. 60% in the beginning is going to be cold email, voicemail drops, Instagram DMs, holding up a sign outside the traffic light. It doesn't matter. Somebody is going to call you, or you go in the outbound rate, right? So remember that ratio, just so you guys know. Omer, is that right? Is that what you saw in the beginning?
I'm going to be honest. That's a great ratio. If you guys can, that's your goal. That's your goal to aim for. Realistically, it's probably 20, 80%. 80% is going to be organic, 20% is ads. And the reason I'm saying that it's that low, Paulson, is because most people don't have a lot of money to spend on ads consistently. So if you have the money, 40% is a great goal to be in. But if you're just starting out, you don't have, maybe you lost your job, whatever it may be, you want to spend some money on Facebook, but you have to figure out a way to get organic going for you. And organic is a lot harder to crack, guys, because people are sending out the same messages. Think about this. How many people here? 78. There's only 78 people on here. I estimate, and I could be wrong, that there's but at least 100 people on a daily basis join our industry. Probably more. I'm underestimating it. 100 times 30, a lot of people, too many people, right? So we can all agree that their messaging getting, and a lot of these people, they don't have go high level. They don't even know, they don't know any of this stuff. So they're figuring it out. They're sending the same kind of messages as you guys, which is very important to get creative. Get creative with your approach, right? Practice makes perfect. So get on as many calls as possible, right? I did say in the beginning that I said, okay, you want to obviously get into the demo with the right people. But here's one thing that I would give you guys help with. As long as they're in the right niche and you guys can somehow serve them, even if they're not qualified and they're not the highest quality, if these are your first few demos, and I'd say probably 10 to 20, take them. As long as you're saying niche and you're not wasting their time on the demo, take them, learn, study, go through there's going to be things on the demo. You're like, man, that doesn't make sense. Let me remove this. Let me add this. Take those practice demos, because eventually you're not going to do those. Eventually you're going to get to the level where you don't need to continuously practice with people that are not wasting your time. When Apostle said 60%, he's absolutely right. I always say this, you absolutely have to have at least 3 ways organically of getting appointments. The top ways is LinkedIn, cold email, and cold calling. You can do voicemail jobs. You can do Facebook and Instagram messages, Facebook groups, referrals. Yeah. There's so many different ways.
And also depending on what niche that you have decided on, like based on what we talked about, you're going to see variations, right? Some of you are going to be stronger on LinkedIn outbound cold versus Facebook pages messaging, versus cold email versus some of you, if you're in a unsaturated market, people are going to respond to you on email, but nobody is an active buyer in that industry. So you got to play according to the rules of that industry. It's going to be different across the board.
That's 100% true. And let me give you guys, let me just put this on here. For all you guys that want the cold email masterclass, DM me, add me on Facebook and shoot me a message, and I'll get my VA to shoot that over to you guys. Cool. Here's an example of what Paulson just said. Chiropractic is not very good on LinkedIn. So if you're going after chiropractic, I would stay away from LinkedIn. There's only a handful of them on there. What they're really good with is cold email and Facebook messaging and Instagram. They're very active on those platforms. So guess what? Why would I spend money on LinkedIn? Why would I even spend time on LinkedIn? But you go into real estate and dentistry, they're incredible on LinkedIn. That is like, some people live and die off of that. So again, yes, for sure, find out more, and it's by testing. We did not know that LinkedIn was not good until we actually paid for Ulink for 3 months. We saw, okay, we're not getting anything month 1, month 2, month 3. Okay, we're not going to use this anymore. So that's something to think of. Another thing is, and I'm actually guilty of doing this now, but definitely figure out a way, guys. One of the first things that you guys should be invested into is a CRM, like Go High Level, that you guys can record your calls on, right? Because that is super important. And you guys can review your calls. If you guys have someone that can train you on calls, will be great. If you guys can even hop on calls with someone in this group or wherever, just to go over your calls, and vice versa, you can go over their calls. A lot of times you can pick up things from recordings, and what's even better is when someone can pick up on things that you didn't pick up on. That's how I got good, because Marcos, right, Joel's business partner, kept calling me out on the same things. And guess what? I get annoyed very easily. So I don't want to do those things anymore. So I'm going to stop. And I literally had notes. Like, I used to say kind of a lot, kind of. I still say it, but I literally had a note on my laptop that said, stop saying kind of, right? Look in the camera. Like, there would be certain things that I would just put on my notes that way. And then I literally, my desk at the end of, before I moved to San Diego, had all these sticky notes on there just to remind me of things that I should do, I should not do, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, I had somebody do the same thing. He was like, hey, can you check out my demo, right? And I'm looking at the video, and the whole time he's doing this, right? You'll pick up so many things when you actually record, and that's the same thing on phone calls.
Everything, right? You guys might say too much, you're unclear, your tonality is off. And most of the time, guys, just letting you know, the reason you don't book as many demos, the reason you don't pitch as many people or even close them is because your tonality is off. I didn't realize how important tonality is because I worked on it very hard, and something that I'm still working on. Tonality is everything. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. Keep that in mind. There's people out there that are bullshitting and making millions of dollars, And there's people like you guys that are working your butt off and doing everything right, but since your tonality is so off, you can't close anyone. And the only way you can pick that up is by actually listening to your calls and figuring out, oh man, I should probably tone it down here. I should probably say this, probably say that. Right. And the last thing is master the outbound and the inbound becomes a joke. I'm being so serious, guys. If you guys can close deals off of cold email, LinkedIn, cold prospects that don't know anything about you, didn't see anything, didn't see you on an ad, and you guys are closing them. Oh my God. When I hear, I'm talking to someone right now that's crushing in organic. I literally have tears because I know how good our ad system is. And I know if I can teach them how to run ads effectively, game over. Game over. They're closed. It's game. There's no way I'm not closing you, but it's hard because most people struggle organic. It's the hardest thing to close on. So keep that in mind. Cool. Almost done here, guys. And I appreciate, by the way, if you guys are getting value, drop a one, drop a one, drop a one, drop a one. I'd love to see some ones. I like the ones. I like to be number one. Cool. So again, tips on overcoming objection. Right here, it's a little bit different because on these quick calls, you don't have leverage. These people didn't research you. They didn't see testimonials. Right? So you have a few minutes to catch their attention. And this is where I call the sexy hook comes in, right? And a sexy hook that we use to catch these people, so that way they can give me their attention, is to say something along the lines, and at this point, this has been used a lot of times, but you guys can use the frameworks of this, but something along the lines of, look, the reason for my call is because we're getting a ton of patient inquiries in your area, and we just don't have a chiropractor in Alpharetta or in Atlanta. Question, are you able to handle an extra 3 to 5 patients a week? Oh, you are? Okay, perfect. So what are you currently, and then I'll literally go into the intro call right there and then. I got their attention. They're interested. They're like, okay, well, yeah, I think I can take that on. Perfect. Now I got your attention. And they're going to ask me, what do you do? How does it work? Blah, blah, blah. Great questions. Honestly, these are the best questions I've heard all day.
If you've never done this, the best questions to ask to start off with to get to the finances is to talk about volume. I always start with, hey, what does your volume look like? They'll tell me, oh, blah, 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 blah. Sort of, oh, what does that run you? Right? As soon as I say, what does that run you? They get this cue that I need more than just the volume. And the only other thing to talk about is the number behind the volume. Yes. And they naturally bring it up. And I'm like, oh, I'm glad you brought up finances. Let's talk a little bit about it. What does your margin look like? And all of a sudden they're showing me their banks. Amazing. That's very true. And here's what Paulson's 100% right. And here's what he also would agree on upon. Most people don't know their numbers. Do you guys know the advantage you have when someone does not know their numbers? It's game over. Like, these guys don't know their numbers. How is that possible? That's what we're going to come in and we're going to fix that, because I'm going to track everything. I'm going to make sure you know where people are coming from, right? If you don't know your numbers, your business is, what kind of business do you have? It's impossible. So this is the framework that I use. I answer their objections very vaguely, and I always direct them to the demo. Dude, I can sit there and blabber about this all day. How many people talk to you all day about this? Let me actually show you how this works. Have you come on a Zoom call. And if at some point it doesn't make sense or you're not happy or whatever, dude, you can hop off. But I want to show you how this works. And I actually would love for you to see me. If we can see each other, you're going to be able to trust me. And this is not cheap. You're going to be paying money for this, right? So obviously the best way to do is let me earn your trust. Let me earn your respect. Let me actually show it to you. Not just blah, 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 blah. This is what we do. Blah, 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 blah. It's what most people are doing, by the way, guys. Like, most people are not doing intro demos. They're just, oh yeah, we help. We run Facebook ads. You know how many times I hear that? It would disgust you guys. Cool. Next thing, we've got a few more slides here. Tips. So here's another tips on overcoming objections is, again, pitching yourself, pitching the demo, your tonality, right? The system. There's no talks about Facebook ads, go high level, nothing else. I keep it very, very, let me show you, let me show you, let me show you, let me show you, let me show you. If they don't want to see it, I will never just speak about it. Unless they're a referral and they're a very warm lead, sure. If they're a cold lead, there's no way they're going to buy. They're just going to waste your time. They're going to take your price and they're going to go shop it. So let's cut out the window shoppers and actually go focus on the people that are going to be legit with you, right? It says one of the biggest mistakes that I made with outbound calls is I always, and I said this earlier, is I always try to book the demo instead of taking it right there and then. With outbound, especially with inbound, they're warm leads, they can book. With outbound guys, you have 72 hours to do a demo. If you do not, they're most likely not going to show up. They're going to flex. They're going to ghost you. They're not really interested. 72 hours. Your goal is to do it now, later today, early in the morning. Always keep it within 24 hours. That is literally the goal. When you guys try to book it for next Friday, hey, let's do it next Friday. It's like, whoa, that's the earliest? Yeah, I'm going on vacation, blah, blah, blah. Okay. Is there any way we can do it now? I always try to do that. And that's my first objection. Let me see if I can actually close them on that. This is, by the way, this is your first win, right? And I always talk about wins with people that are new in the agency space.
right? Setting up your ads, getting leads. When it comes to sales, these are your win columns. So just so you know, before you guys close someone, because that is the biggest win. Your first win is to schedule an intro call, whether it's from inbound or outbound. Your second win is for someone to actually show up to the intro call. Your third win is going to be someone you actually walk them through the questions on the intro call. Fourth win is to book a demo. Fifth win is to go through the demo. Sixth win is just to pitch them. And the seventh win is to close them. So if you close someone, if you pitch someone, forget about you close them. You have 6 wins that you don't even think about, that you just went through, especially if you're new. And I want you guys to count your wins, because it's so easy to count your losses. It's so easy to be down on yourself and hard on yourself, because I'm the hardest person on myself, trust me. But it's so easy to skip the fact that, oh my God, I just went through an intro call. Oh my God, I handled an objection, we scheduled a demo. Oh my God, he came on a demo. I just pitched them. Those are wins, because you're going to get very used to that very quick, right? I don't count that. For me, I'm like, that's whatever. It's another day in the office now. But I used to just kind of glimpse over that. I used to never win that. I'm not saying you guys get paid to do that, right? But what you do is you get better and you practice, and it's eventually going to make you such a smooth salesperson. One of the best compliments I get, it's not that, oh my God, you're such a great, it's that I'm smooth. I love that. I want to be smooth criminal, but without being Michael Jackson. Cool. Remember, these guys are already getting targeted by so many agencies. Your advantage is that you have them on the line now. You got them now. They're already looking, especially from outbound. They're already getting targeted by all these companies that spend tens of thousands of dollars on marketing. The fact that you have them on a cold call, on a cold email, on LinkedIn, on the hook now, use that time now, because they're looking, they want to buy. You make yourself the best, because people are spending tens of thousands of dollars on marketing. They have the model completely done. They have testimonials. They have advantage because they've been doing this for a long time, right? This is why I tend to talk people out of chiropractic a lot, because I don't sell for Atlas anymore. So whether Atlas makes $1 million a month or zero, I don't benefit from it anymore. But when I did sell Atlas digital and chiropractic services, I would talk people out of it, because I know that if I get on a call with a chiropractor and you get on a call with a chiropractor, I might not be good. You might be Jordan Belfort. The fact that my system is so polished, and we've been doing this for 3 years, and we have all these testimonials, gives me an advantage. When you're coming from organic, you have 0 testimonials. You've got to give them, you've got to earn their trust. You got to earn them their business in a way that I don't have to do. I don't have to lower my prices. It's 2,000 or nothing. You guys might have to. That's okay in the beginning. I told you guys, it took me 3-4 sales until I got my first full payment. And that's okay. Just get small wins. One, if you guys can keep winning one day at a time, it's what we call the winning streak. You're going to be a happy person. I think a lot of people just kind of don't think about that. Cool. Again, transition to the demo is actually the exact same thing. I go over, awesome, this is everything that we talked about. Am I missing anything? Right, this is where you want to go. This is where you're here now. You want to be here. Talk is cheap. Let me actually walk you through this. Do you have time now or later today? Same thing. I treat this transition, I treat it the exact same as it is from outbound and this from inbound. I don't care. I just want to get them on the demo and show them what we're all about.
Omer, have you covered everything on the slides you wanted to? Can we do Q&A now, or?
There is literally 2 more slides and then we're done.
Okay.
Two more and we're done. So the script here is a lot shorter, right? It does look like there's a lot of questions, but it's actually a lot shorter. So let me actually go through this really quick, right? Have a sexy hook, get them what Paul said. Hey, you're doing this much volume. Let us help you. Let me show you how we can do that, right? Something that catches their attention. And then I dive into the questions, right? This is the outbound. It's like, hey, when would you schedule a call today? It's like, motherfucker, call me. So definitely don't ask that. What are you going to ask? You right there. And then you want to ask them immediately, what have they done? What are they currently doing? And I don't dive too deep into it. You guys want to get just enough information. And it's, what are they doing now? Is it working? No. Next. What are their goals? Okay, next 3 and 4 months. Awesome. And where are they now? If you guys can get those 3 things, number 3, 4, and 5, you're good. It's a bonus if they're opening up and they're having great conversations. If you can ask number 6, why now? Some of the obstacles they're facing, great. But that is not an absolute necessary question to ask on a short call. It's, what are they doing now? Is it working? Why not? Where do they want to be in the next 3-4 months? And maybe even by the end of the year, where are they now? I have those 3 things. I have all the information. I know that I can pitch them, right? And on the demo, which you guys will see tomorrow, I dive into these questions a lot more. These are not like, I'm not going to ask them questions anymore. On the demo in my head, I'm like, okay, there's some questions I missed. And there's no way that I'm pitching this person without knowing this, and this. Cool. Awesome. Last but not least is disqualify people, because I think a lot of people, again, in the beginning, guys, take demos with everyone in your niche that you genuinely think that you can serve. right? Even if they're maybe not going after the same clientele, it's fine. As long as they're in the same niche, take it. After you've done 10, 20 demos, like, all right, let's start qualifying people and disqualifying them. If a person is rude, arrogant, is a complete, it's just someone that you do not want to partner up with and generally just don't want to help him, guys, hang up the call. Like, just go somewhere else. They're going to do that to you. People are going to do that to you if you're rude. If you're just not a good person, they're going to hang up to you. So hang up on them. This is a very important rule. I used to take shit from everybody. I'm not gonna lie, I used to put up with some crazy stuff. And I don't think that's good, because guess what? When I close them, I'm a sales rep, right? And you guys, a lot of you guys are just by yourself right now, you're a partner. Eventually you're gonna have a team. And if your salesperson is closing bad people and he never speaks to them again, he's putting all this negative energy onto the account managers. Now the account managers have to deal with this crappy person. They're getting paid very little to do this. And it's just like, why? And I did that a lot. And I feel like sometimes my account managers hated me because I was closing, everybody that comes my way. When in reality, I should have just closed people that I really wanted to have meaningful relationships with and people that I genuinely want to help, right? If for whatever reason, what you are focusing on is not going to benefit them, right? Vice versa, get off the call, like on the intro call. These are things that you guys should learn on the intro call, right? Same thing, different niche, right? If you feel like the person's request, right? Maybe they have a special campaign, very rare specific things. If you feel like it's out of your way and you feel like, man, this is not things that I want to do, stop doing it. Like, don't do it. We try doing that at times. Again, if you're scaling, that's fine. When you're in the beginning stages, not fine. Just focus on one thing. Focus on when you actually believe that you can help out chiropractors, dentists, real estate agents, dog trainers. I don't care. If you think you can help them, you have the right service, pitch them. If not, do not pitch them. Don't waste your time. Again, unless you're brand new and you want to practice. Last but not least, before I take Q&As, this is very important. I wish someone told me this when I started. Anyone here that's charging over $1,000 a month is essentially selling a Lamborghini, because that $1,000 a month, they can go ahead and go rent out a Lamborghini. I'm sure there's more process to it, but the money makes sense. Do you guys think that the Lamborghini dealerships are going to let every single person test drive their car? No way. They take you through a very lengthy process for you to actually drive the car and test it out and buy it, right? Maybe test it out, sure. But to actually buy it, there's a process. They're not just going to sell Lamborghini to everybody that walks into the store. There's got to be a process there. They know that I want the right person to drive my car. That's the same thing for you guys. You want these people to represent you and your company in a good way, because people talk, right? There's Facebook groups, messages. And if you guys do the right thing, you guys can get on the level that Atlas Digital got to, which we get between $10,000 to $20,000 in revenue from referrals every single month, because we have a good reputation, because we did the right thing, because we sold to this, not to dentists or stem cells, because some chiropractors just were not going to benefit from this. So I took that very seriously. And to me, I'm selling such a high product. You're selling a $24,000, $30,000 a year package in a sense. You got to make sure that you're partnering up with the right people. So hopefully that helps, guys. Again, I have to compact this into 24 hours. There's way more things that I want to say, but I would say that this is like the core beliefs and core things that I've seen work and all that good stuff. So really, now, all right,
guys. So Omer, thank you, man. So let's do this. Yeah, go ahead and stop sharing your screen just so we can see each other. So raise your hands, and what I'm going to do is field a lot of this Q&A. I'm going to bring Omer in as well on addressing these Q&As as well. So one thing I want to step back and just address real quick, right? The number one scaling, problem that I've seen with agencies to this day, on average, I was looking at my call volume the other day. This year, I've had over 2,700 calls, Zoom calls with you guys. And I've seen almost every one of these different agencies. There's not a model that I haven't seen. And I don't say this, boastfully in any way. I'm saying this from the sense of like, I know what not to do, worst case scenario. When it comes to scaling, the number one problem I see is most people are building a system around themselves. Don't do that. When Omer is sharing all these things, he's laying the foundation of his perspective, which is the sales team at Atlas, of what he went through, all the hardships. And now, Omer, how many sales guys do you guys have now? Like 5, 6?
Yeah, I want to say it's like, I don't think it's 5, 6 yet, but it's 7 FA it is, but at Atlas it's 3 or 4.
So when Joel and Marcos built this system with Omer, that one first person was able to give him feedback for the rest of the way, rest of that department, right? Mm-hmm. And you have to look at what you're doing for your industry the same way. Imagine if I brought in someone to do my task, what would they be doing that day? that next day they're going to start. What is their day going to be like? That's how we figure out hiring process, right? So when we're sharing all this, when it comes to sales, think of it outside of yourself. Same thing with ads, right? Think of it outside yourself. What happens if you have to send leads to your own closers, right? Would they be okay with these leads? What would they provide feedback on? So think outside the box on all these things. It's not just a cookie cutter copy paste method. It's not going to go anywhere. And you cannot build any of these things around yourself. It's got to be outside of just yourself and build out systems as you scale. Let's go with Huria Kiran. That's the first person that raised your hand. Guys, we don't have a whole lot of time on Q&A, just so you know, because we covered a lot. So make sure you raise your hand if you have a question. Go ahead, Korea.
So I want to ask Omer.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
It's so dark. So if I heard you saying, like, if you ask that person like 500 as a, I'm sorry. So if that person tell like he has 5,000 in his revenue, so then you should be charging around 500. So how it goes? Like if my service is 2,000 or 2,500, so what should I say to that person?
That person doesn't qualify. Next prospect. If your pricing is at 2,000, I don't recommend you guys selling anything under 1,500 on marketing services. If you're selling SaaS, okay, great. You can go down to 200, maybe 250. If you're selling a course, maybe 997, right? But certain people just don't qualify. So
I agree.
In the intro call, we are asking the volume question. From there, I'm judging like if he's saying like my volume is 5,000. So it means like he's not saying it from his mouth itself, but from that I'm judging like if my service is 2,500, he can't afford. So how then in this situation without his saying?
This is a great question. This is exactly what you say. Out of that 5,000, how do you pronounce your name, by the way?
Huria.
Out of that 5,000, Huria, how much are you comfortable spending into marketing?
I would say it also goes back to mindset. If a person is so much fired up, he will manage to raise the money for that. Like I'm that kind of person.
Hold on. It's not just a mindset thing, because guess what? What happens if you don't have results? They literally have to have the money to keep investing, even if they have the right mindset. So to a certain extent, you have to make sure it's mindset and budget. Omer, let me let you just field that question the way you would like to. I don't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, I was thinking like, I agree, Paulson. You really should not charge 1,500. But if you're brand new, you're trying to get testimonials. There's things that you can get for $500 that will be worth long term. So $500, you can get a testimonial and run their ads, for instance, plus ad spend. Don't just do $500. What I would ask for someone that's, let's just say 10,000, right? And your services are 2K. That's still 20% of their income, which typically companies spend 10% on marketing. That's normally what I see. So I asked them, out of this blank, how much are you comfortable investing back into marketing? Well, it depends on the returns, but no, I get it. But like there's $5,000. Are you comfortable spending 1,000, 500? There's got to be a budget in your head that if I give you an amazing return, you still have to spend money. So I corner them until they give me that number. And then if in my head, let's just say that number is $1,000. If you feel like you can deal with them for a month for $1,000 and you can give them a discount, go for it. If you feel like, man, it's not worth my time, don't go for it. But in my head, I know I'm not pitching them $2,000 a month. There's just no way. It makes no sense. I might show it to them and I'll be like, look, I know what we talked about. I want to help you out. So instead of doing 2,000, well, how about this? For the first month, I'll give it to you for 50% off. If it works and you're happy with services and I got you to 8,000, 9,000, it's going to go back to my normal fees.
Okay, get it. And secondly, I just want to quickly ask, like in the demo, how much you showed them to your system?
Tomorrow.
We're not talking about the demo.
Tomorrow.
Okay, got it. That's all I want to ask them.
Talking about the demo. This is just the intro. This is just the intro call. Yeah.
I see a couple more people here.
So let's go with Jim Swan. Yeah. Jim, you there, buddy?
Yeah, I am. Thanks, Paulson. Omer, thanks for doing this. It's so helpful. One of the biggest things that I have a problem with is when I'm getting on that first call, how much is it? That question always comes up right away. So I always have a tough time trying to deflect that initial price when I'm trying to ask a question and they're always, how much is it? How much is it? How do you overcome that? How do you deflect?
So like I said, a couple options you have. The first one, Jim, I would say is telling them like, look, some people pay me $100 a month because they could. And some people pay me $10,000 a month because they also could. Both of them, even if you've never been paid either, you are able to get paid for those. for those things. Because if your services are $2,000 a month and you're charging $8,000 for ad spend, guess what? That's 10K. So you are all the time able to give yourself a range. What I would say is that someone, if they're in the first 2 minutes asking me money, red flag immediately. Two things. They've probably been burnt. They've been burnt many times. And number two, they probably don't have a lot of money. People that are sophisticated with money are not too concerned about the money. They understand that value comes first. And that is the perception that you have to give to them. Look, if the system does not make sense, I'm going to go over and actually show you everything. If it does not make sense to you and you feel like, man, this is not going to help me out, it does not matter if I charge you $17. You wouldn't give me a shot, right? If this is just to give you feel like you're not going to throw away $17. So what's going to benefit you most and what's going to make the most sense is for us to actually walk through the system together, see if it makes sense for you, first off, systematically. And I promise you, Jim Swan, I never lose people on money. I lose people on value. Because, dude, there's people out there that value Lamborghinis as $1 million. And some people that you give them $1 million and a free Lamborghini, they're like, this is a crappy car. I would never want to test this. You know what I mean? So it's the value of things that you perceive. It's perspective. When you say things like that, and if they keep saying money, and you feel like, man, this guy's warm. He came off a lead. He has a great website. You know, here's a last thing I'll say about this. With outbound, I'm very vague and I'll never answer it. With inbound, I'm more open to it. Because if they came to me, they look like they have a great website, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, dude, this guy's qualified. I'll just tell them how much it costs. I don't care. Because now, guess what? If they do approve, I know that they're all I have to do now is make sense of the system and why it will benefit them. The money's already in. So on inbound, again, if they come to you, they book a call with you, you could be a little, you can kind of tell them, try to be vague with it. And then eventually you can tell them. But if they're outbound, never try. If you tell them any point, you might lose them off the get-go. So that's my advice.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, and I have to echo what Omer said. The only fielding that I normally do when that question comes is I typically say, hey, listen, almost every one of our clients are getting 6-7x of what their investment is. Have you been burned before? That's literally, I attack it right then and there. And then, or if I don't even feel comfortable there, I'll ask them, to be honest, I don't really talk about finances when I first meet somebody, but what made you ask that question? Because I'm going to take that control back, right? I want to maintain that control, right? So 5 different ways to do it. It's the same philosophy, right? If they're probably coming from a lack of abundance mindset, or they've been injured in business with somebody burning them. That's usually what it is. Let's go with Raheem.
Hey, thanks, Paulson. Thanks, Omer. So my question is on those outbound calls. One, what do you do when you get a gatekeeper and you're trying to reach the decision maker? How do you find out the decision maker? And the second question is, sometimes I tried this 2-call method and I got people upset at me, like, why can't we just do it now? Like, they don't want to do a second call. So how do you handle that?
Great questions. First question, gatekeepers imagine Raheem is, if I hire someone and I tell them your job is to block people like Raheem from calling me, right? So that's literally their job, to block people from you. So the best thing to do, the best way to overcome is, number one, to know who you're calling, right? Maybe have a website pulled up. So when you're actually calling them, you know who you're looking to get called. So when I call them and I'm calling the decision maker, I'm like, hey, is Raheem available? Do you mean Dr. Raheem? Oh yeah, Dr. Raheem. Is Dr. Raheem available? This is Omer. I pretend to be their friend. When you call and you pretend to be someone they know, it doesn't have to be a friend, someone they know. Sometimes they might hand the phone over. If she's new, right? Might say, hey, Dr. Raheem, here you go. That could happen. If I don't get that, and if she's been trained and she's smart, then she's like, he's not available. I can take a message. Oh, no worries. Do you know when he's going to be available? Yeah, at 3:00. You can try again later. Okay, no worries. What's his cell phone number? You're not going to get responses a lot of time with that, but ask it. Oh, no worries. What's his cell phone number? You want to pretend like you've asked that question 1,000 times and you always get the response like, oh yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. He doesn't give that away. Oh, he doesn't? Oh, okay. Weird. What about his personal email? Yeah, I can give you his personal email. Try to always get something out of that call. I either get the personal number, personal email. How can I get in touch with him? He's super busy. Is there like an email that I can send to? Can I forward him something? Find him on LinkedIn. Find him on Facebook. Like, dude, these are things that I never really thought about. I'm like thinking now, I'm like, holy shit, if this guy's really qualified and you feel like he can help, you can help him out. Go find him on Facebook. Go find him on LinkedIn. Go reach out to him personally, outside of the fact that you already called him. And that makes you look really persistent. And they love that, because then you're like, holy shit, what if you had, and I tell them, like, what if I can find a way to make your system this persistent with the leads that I send your way. So not only do I want to send leads to you, but I have a system, go high level, that is persistent with following up with them, right? So things like that. So I always try to get something out of that call, personal number, personal email, find them on Facebook, find them on LinkedIn, get something out of that call. First things first. Second question was?
When they want the demo right away, they don't want.
Yes, great question. I always used to do the 2-call close. This is what I tell people. When we say market research, I also want you guys to study their sales process. What does that mean? Chiropractors, when you come and see a chiropractor or really any medical space, they take x-rays from you. And usually it takes a day or two or maybe a week for them to analyze, depending on what happened. It takes a week or two to analyze everything. So then they schedule a second call. So they're very used to in the medical space, if you're going after medical, for 2-call close. They're used to that because they're doing that. But someone like dealerships, right? Car dealerships, you come in, there's no second day. They're expecting to sell a car today. So for them, they're very used to the 1-call close. That being said, I used to think that 1-call, 2-call close mattered. Like, oh, it depends on the niche. I think it helps. I genuinely think that if you guys can take the demo right after the intro call, they're warm, especially Raheem, especially when they're out, when you're calling them and you're out calling them, didn't book on you, super key. I don't care what niche it is. So I would take the demo right there and then, make sure you have everything ready. What I do is I send them an email. Well, I don't know if we'll cover this tomorrow, but I send them an email with 5 things before the call, before the Zoom call. And it's a payment link, it's a kickoff form I need them to fill out, getting access to their Facebook and a couple other things. Every single person that I get on a call with gets that email because I'm assuming, right, that you're going to close. So I got to be ready. I don't want to like, oh, where's the payment stuff? Oh, you don't want to be that person. I want to make sure I have everything ready to go. Cover a little bit more of that tomorrow. But the 1-call, 2-call is very niche based. I think that helps. But definitely if they're outbound, try to do it right there and then. Try to do it within 24 hours. Always, 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 you should be the one pushing for it. If they're pushing for it, they want to hear, they're moving. That tells you that, oh shit, they're moving on something. Let me make sure that I'm the person they're moving in with, not Billy across the street.
The first question for me, Raheem, is the gatekeeper, right? So if in a saturated niche, you're going to see more gatekeepers. There's more prospecting activities happening, right? There's more vendors. It's not just marketing, right? Everybody is pounding these phones. So they do have to have a gatekeeper. It just makes more sense, right? So at the end of the day, you need to niche down, understand the market well enough for you to have the right conversation. So back when I had my dental agency, so some of you that were in here, here's how I would go about it. Hey, Dr. Mylan, wanted to just reach out to you if you can take on implant patients on next Thursday around 12 o'clock. I know that industry well enough that they want implant patients. I don't sound like a vendor. I sound like a partner. I sound like a referral source of some kind. Matter of fact, I almost sound like another dentist calling them, right? And then what they're going to do is figure out who I am and figure out if I should be gated, right? So what happens is this. I always use the first name of the doctor. Hey, Justin, is Justin there? I don't ever go with Dr. Pena because I want them to feel like I'm a personal friend. Like I've had a conversation with this doc before, right? And if they catch me, let's say they go through this and they're like, oh, you're just another random person that's trying to sell. I neutralize that right away. Listen, I don't want to waste your time, but you probably get a lot of phone calls just pitching another thing. I really need to know if Justin can take these patients on next week. Right? I want them to be a friend. If you go against that gatekeeper, you will always go against that gatekeeper, even if you landed that client, because that gatekeeper's got to follow up on some leads for you later on anyway. So you've got to position yourself a certain way to have that done, right? So saturated niche versus unsaturated. If you're in an unsaturated niche, you're going to get through the gatekeeper with no issues. You can even say, I'm a marketing agency trying to sell you business, and you will get through it. Oh, cool. Right. So at the end of the day, that gatekeeper has to feel that I don't want to like put them down, but I want them to know that they cannot make a decision by themselves on the call. Hey, can you approve these implants that I'm sending over to you? They cannot make that decision. They need to talk to the doctor. Right. So therefore, they have to go to another person. So that's my feedback on it. The second question was the 2-call close, whether you're going to do a demo right away. The whole point of the 2-call close, the 3-call close for consulting, or 1-call close for product selling, the idea is to set the right environment for them to purchase. If I go to Amazon, I am in a buying mentality. If I go to Craigslist, look for some random stuff, I am in a buying mentality. If I'm on Facebook, I'm not on a buying mentality. So when you set these appointments, you got to make sure they're in a buying mentality, so they understand there's going to be a pitch. They understand they're trying to figure out if it's the right system. So it's not about how many times there are calls. It's whether you can get them in the right type of mind frame so you can sell to them. If they're not, even if they do show up, they're not going to buy, right? So regardless of how many calls you do, I recommend a 2-call close, especially if you're not an advanced closer. I always recommend a 2-call close, and at least 5 hours away. If you're doing cold calls in the morning, push it for the afternoon. Don't do it, in my opinion. I don't, because if I'm in a cold call mode, I'm not in a demo mode. Correct. I want to separate that out. I want to set my time apart where I'm ready for a demo. That's my feedback. Any follow-up to that, Omer?
Yeah, I agree. And I actually have to run I'm a couple minutes late here.
Go for it.
I agree 100%. Guys, the biggest takeaway from over this, I know I provided a ton of value and all that good stuff. And I know some of you guys are privately messaging me. Please add me on Facebook, Omer, Bloch, my first name, last name. Shoot me a message and I promise you I'll get to you. Please understand that I'm giving you frameworks that work for me and things that close. Same thing with Paulson. You have to find what works for you and do it hardcore. Do not just copy my style. Do not copy Paulson. Find out what you're doing. I've seen people that sell really high level and people in the industry that sell millions. And I literally watch them and I'm like, I don't sell anything like you. I literally can't replicate that. I was told, here's a true story before I go. I was told, because I'm selling a high ticket now, an expensive program, I was told to stop doing Zoom calls. Seriously, I was told just do a 1-call close, don't do Zooms. I'm the #1 closer 3 months in a row because I freaking love seeing you guys and I love seeing people because I love selling over Zoom. But the people that are closing on my team, they're really good too. They don't like Zoom calls. They just do everything on a call. So maybe some of you guys don't need to do Zoom calls. Do everything on a call and just get it over with. Some of you guys will benefit from a Zoom call. Find that out and work it. Like that's it. When something's working, don't try to change it and tweak it. Something that works, do more of what works. Don't try to change it and make it like something crazy. But guys, I gotta run. Food is here.
Go for it, bro. Go for it.
Appreciate everyone.
I'll finish up Q&A here. Yes. So Omer, thank you, buddy.
Thank you guys. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
So let's see. Raheem, any follow-up to that? Did that help? I'm just giving you guys different perspectives. Like I learned my stuff the hard way. Omer was taught it the hard way. You know, like we all have different methods and ways. Like I think 2018 to 19, I've closed well over 400 clients for the high-level agency. I'm the only closer in the organization. Nobody else. And it's no ads, all organic and referrals. So I did everything the hard way, right? So I developed my own system, my own methods. There's nothing right about my systems, nothing wrong about my systems, but I know the tools of my ammo. I know what I have. It's like a basketball player. I know my skill set to win the game. Everybody doesn't have the same skill set, right? So you got to develop your own skill set. Any follow-up, Raheem?
Hey, Paulson, I don't have a follow-up. I do have a quick announcement, if that's okay. So, the content has been amazing. And what I'm trying to do is set up like a small mastermind where we can hold each other accountable and just implement this stuff. So if anyone is interested in joining this mastermind, put your email in the chat. Or
yeah, you would have to get it approved by the high-level compliance team. But yeah, I mean, if you guys connect, sorry. If you want to connect, I mean, I think George Copeland asked me the same thing, and I told him the same thing. I was like, man, it's nothing against anybody. I have to get things approved. That's like a 12-week process. So if you guys connect, I just say go connect, be accountable. Don't be buying stuff from each other. Get accountability done. If that's the purpose, go for it. I'm not trying to police anybody. I know you guys have good hearts and doing things like that. So connect with George, connect with Raheem, anybody else that want to get together and do Zooms and all these things. But don't let that be a distraction to sweat equity. Like you got to pound the phones, pound the emails, pound the ads, get it all set up. Like you guys understand, if there's one takeaway, you got to understand the amount of volume it takes, right?
Yeah.
For agencies to grow. It's a lot of volume. You got to bring in inbound, outbound, all these different things. There's a lot to it. Let me see if there's any other raised hands. I'll go through your questions. Let's see. I don't see another raised hand. Any other questions? Let me see if there's anything in the chat, and then we'll go through it. You guys understand how valuable it is to niche down and have one offer? You see the relevance of why versus doing it the hard way, like being a 5-trick pony. It's really hard. At the same time, remember, in the past, I've mentioned don't be a 1-trick pony. And that is also right. You cannot be a 1-trick pony in the long haul. In the beginning, you need to be a 1 or 2-trick pony to scale. Get to like 20, 30K a month and then expand into other services that make sense. But in the beginning, be so focused on one offer. Steph, let's go with you. How's it going?
Good. So I just kind of need to circle around real fast. When we're doing, because I'm just going crazy. So with the outbound thing.
How crazy are you going? How crazy? Let me know.
Probably not as crazy as I should be going, but I'm getting people to respond. But it's just like today was super important because I had no idea how to talk to them after they responded. I was like, cool, thanks, bye.
Thank you for implementing and getting responses. That alone is big.
But are we like hitting them with the offer that we've created the last few days or a few days ago?
That's just an example of an offer.
I mean, not like that example thing, but the one we created for ourselves and for our agency. Should we be saying that offer, or should we be using like what we learned today as far as getting that first intro call in there?
It depends on what happens on the call.
Okay.
Right? It depends on what happens on the call, right? So what are the responses? Let's say, so how did you, first of all, let's backtrack. How did you get responses? Let's start there.
I literally have been messaging people on Facebook, like on their pages.
Okay, cool. Perfect. So when they respond, what kind of response are you getting? What is the context of those responses about 80% of the way?
Yeah, like more information. And then I have been saying a little spiel that I probably am giving them too much information, and they're like, oh, cool, thanks for the info. And I'm like, okay, bye.
Yeah, so let's break something down.
Yeah.
The point of prospecting messages is to get them on an intro call information, not to send them a PDF lead magnet, not to send them all kinds of service lists, not to tell them what we do. Point of me wanting to connect with you is to see if we're a good fit. And for me to do that, I need to get on an intro call. Nothing. My next response would be, oh, perfect. Can we jump on a quick 2-minute phone call?
Okay.
That's it, right? And what happens on the 2-minute phone call? I don't talk about anything outside of that phone call. I won't talk about what I'm going to share in the demo, which is the whole entire spiel of how I'm going to deliver results. I want to qualify them to see if they could even qualify for the demo, right? So outbound goes out, right? You messaged a bunch of people. They respond with, oh, more info. Can you tell me about what you do? How much is it? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, perfect. Would love to just jump on a quick 2-minute phone call and show that I'm actually a person instead of a random call center. That used to be my actual script.
Okay.
Right. And literally they would be like, oh, okay. It's a real person. Like in LinkedIn, real people don't exist to me in my inbox. I'm so frustrated with LinkedIn because like 80 messages, they're all bots. And I'm like, what happened to all the humans that I was connected to? It's it's like a mystery for me right now. And I get pounded on LinkedIn with like, hey man, we can scale your SaaS company. Like, okay, cool. Like, I don't want any more messages on LinkedIn, right? It's the same problem across the board in marketing. Everybody's pounding, so you have to humanize, right? So outbound, response, phone call. Phone call, response, demo. That's it. You cannot deviate from that. Yes, yes, yes. And
I was
that's
just like, cool,
that's
somebody
almost like
responded, blah,
a
blah, and verbal diarrhea. Just, I just went crazy.
So I look at this very like, what's the word? My sales process is very military. There's no compromise. If I compromise, there's damage across the system. If I compromise, somebody is going to die. That's how I feel, right? And I don't want to jeopardize my families and their payrolls that work for me. And that's what I would do if I compromise. And that's how I look at it, like, so if I get a response, cool, perfect. Thanks for responding. Can we jump on a 1-minute phone call so we can know that we're actual human beings? Like, you can literally type that and get a good response, because people love talking to other people. We're actually fairly social beings. They just don't like talking to people that they can't trust.
Austin, do you book
We're
or do you
all
have them
fairly
book?
social beings. I'm sorry?
Sorry, I was just going to say.
What did you say,
I was going to
Robbie?
ask. I was just going to ask if you book their time, or do you send them a link to book?
There's no booking. What would my wife feel if I asked her, "Can you book on my calendar?"
Yeah, good point.
She's gonna throw that phone right in my face. Right? And that's how I'm gonna look at this, because I'm having a simple conversation. Right? Oh, cool, George. Can we just jump on a quick phone call? Great, perfect. What's the best number? That's it. You see how our marketing minds are thinking about efficient systems and pixeling the other page to this to-order page, and oh man, it's like, I just want to have a conversation with this human being. That's it. Right? So and that conversation is going to be a qualification call, right? You guys see how like I've seen Joel close. It's different. It's not the way I close all the time. Omer's same thing. Other guys, same thing. Robin Alex, you guys know him. The way he closes is like, dude, it's like super ninja. Like, he's like super quiet and he's like very techy. He closes all day long, but it's a different type of close. So the environment that you create for yourself is going to be different. How you set the tonality is going to be different. I'm not, the Red Bull drinking, gun punching. Like, I'm just like super calm to the point where I pause when I talk. I take my time, and I don't try to close from a place of me needing the close. I don't need the close. I have plenty of businesses and business owners waiting outside my line of my office to do business with me. That's my mindset. It's an abundant mindset, and I stay there, service-wise, finances-wise. It doesn't matter. Hopefully that helps, Robbie. Steph, any follow-up to what you were saying?
Nope, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Let's see. Let's see. Any questions? Any further questions?
I've got a quick one.
Go for it, Lloyd.
You said yesterday and again today that when there's a consulting call, it could be like 3 steps. When it's a consulting service, could you quickly just go over what the 3-step call process is?
Yes. So when you sell products, it's typically 1 call close if you have to do it over the phone, right? When you sell services, it's typically 2 call close. In this scenario that we talked about, you have an intro call that qualifies them, then a strategic call that demonstrates what you can actually do for them, and then you can close them right there on the demo, right? And then consulting is like, so in a 2 call close, what happens next after you close is an intro call with your account manager or your team or yourself to actually onboard them. Right? That's a 2 call service. In the consulting sales cycle, you actually have to do that intro strategic component a bit earlier before you can close them. Because typically when you sell consulting, you're selling it for $50,000, $100,000, and you're bringing in like, a 12-man decision team. That's real consulting sales. not necessarily, hey, let me work with you for $1,000 for the next 5 months. That's not really consulting. That's just you being so generous, right? So in the real consulting sales world, you have to do a 3-call close, which is an intro call, a demo call, then a account management intro call of the actual strategy of what the expectations are, KPIs, like you're really going to actually show the goals and then close them, right? That's typically how consulting is done. And that's because consulting is very done with you. It's very custom and you have to be clear. Otherwise, consulting goes sideways all the time, guys. Consulting goes sideways all the time because guess what? Nobody does that 3rd call to outline why we are doing business together. We just like each other. Here's my money. Now what? What do we do together? Nobody outlines that. So that account manager's call that would typically happen in the 2-call close has to happen early in consulting. Does that make sense? Cool. Awesome. And that's to make sure fulfillment. There's a fulfillment pressure on consulting, it's because it's custom. You typically cannot scale consulting. That's why people don't do it. That's why they charge so much. Any other questions? Let's see. Awesome, guys. Anybody else have an itching question that you want to ask? And I'll do Q&A for another. We can keep it going till 4:30. It's 4:22 now. So we got about 8-9 minutes before I cut it off. Any big takeaways? What was your biggest takeaway, Stephanie? Stephanie Jackson?
Okay, I have takeaways, but I also wanted to ask any tips and tricks on how to settle nerves on these calls. I tend to just start rambling because I've never been good at doing presentations in classes. Like it just stresses me out.
Yeah, I used to actually be, it's so funny because I used to kind of be like that until I watched my dad. My dad was he was like a pastor, right? And I've seen him do counseling and things like that with like really, really tough situations. And he gets on a different tonality when he's counseling versus when he's preaching. And that's when I first realized there's 2 different energies that he's controlling in how he's presenting himself. With sales, here's what I recommend. I recommend you being you. So if you sound nervous, that's okay. At some instance, somebody else who's feeling nervous, they're going to connect with you. And then you're going to calm down together. I promise you. There will be people that you attract. I'm extremely calm because of the way I've practiced and that's the way I go about it. But I'm nervous. Doesn't mean I'm not nervous. I'm still nervous because I'm like, oh, I got to get this closed, but I'm just not demonstrating it out. So for you to calm your nerves, I would, first things first, in sales, speak less. Just stop talking, right? You want to practice? Hey, tell me about your story. What brought you into this business? Shut up for the next 10 minutes. Let them have at it. Talk about their everything life, right? Nobody wants to not talk about themselves when that platform is given, and they talk about it. And then based on all the ammo that they gave you, you want to go back to your questions, which is, man, I really appreciate you sharing your story with me, Stephanie. What made you want to say yes to this call today? Right. They're like, well, yeah, we're on a call. Yeah. They're like aware that they're on a call all of a sudden. And they're like, yeah, I saw your ad. Wanted to just figure out what it was about. Man, I'm glad you asked me. What kind of volume can you really take? Like, what does your business look like on the inside? Right? Why do you think I'm the right guy for you? I'm pretty sure you see other ads too and other agencies. It's like, Paulson, I've been following you around for 4 months. I just haven't made the leap, I just see a random brown guy rolling up in my news feed. I don't know what to do about it. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm glad you shared. Like, it's literally how I go I have a different energy when I do sales. But that's not the right way for you. You've got to find your voice in sales. And that's going to come with practice. And that's going to come with, I think every single person has their own strength of how they go about it. And you're going to be able to find it. So once you go through enough repetition, then you'll get the hang of it, Steph. I promise. It's not, you need to do about close to 150 demos to start like really finding it. And it sounds like a big number, but it's not. It's actually not. Not just demos. I'm sorry. Combine intro calls and demos, not just demos. And that gives you a really good idea of where you are. And the way you purchase is how you sell. Okay. The way you purchase, like if you're not used to going, I mean, we're all selling high ticket as an agency. If you only sell $500 a month and you think you're doing low ticket, you've got it wrong. They're buying 500 times 24 months. That's how that client and that prospect is looking at this. They don't want to be nobody wants to be jumping marketing agencies. They actually don't. They just get bad quality services all the time with the wrong expectations, right? So even if you're selling 500, it's actually a high ticket sale. You're selling $24,000 in that moment. That's high ticket sales. So you have to make sure they understand what they get and feed off of that, right? And even after, one of the best things that really, really lifted my sales skills is I would ask the clients that I closed why I closed them. Afterwards, they're already starting fulfillment, all these things. 3 weeks later, hey, George, man, I sounded so nervous on that intro call, didn't I? Man, you got me going crazy when I first called you off that ad. Why do you like me? Like, I literally would do that. I had that in a little Post-it note, and I would make sure 2 weeks after somebody onboarded, I would call back and ask them why I closed. My sales got better. And lethal, right? So it's like I get to a point where I know that like no mercy is going to happen, like literally when I'm on a call at some points, right? Because I know my skill level, and you get better, right? But yeah, you do sell like the way you buy. Mark, was that helpful, Stephanie? I didn't mean to call you out just because nobody else was asking questions. We can get a conversation going. Thank you for that. Mark, let's go with your question. And if there's nothing else, we'll finish up with you, Mark.
All right, cool. So when it comes to scaling, that intro call, do you think it's something you could at some points pass off to VA, or are you better suited to just do it yourself for as long as you can?
Define scaling.
When I guess your day's a little bit busier and now you're doing more demo calls versus that intro call, is that something where you should allocate less time for the intro call and pass it off and then focus entirely on the demo call, or figure out a nice balance between the two?
Yeah, so it depends. Remember I told you, you can't build a system around you, right? You've got to build it around who you're going to hire, right? So when you hire, do you want that person to do an intro call and a demo call? 100%. Therefore, should you eliminate it? 100% not, right? Now, is it inconvenient for you right now? Maybe. Would it help if you set up an appointment setter? Here's what I don't like about appointment setters. I have to reestablish authority and reestablish tonality and reestablish my energy when I get on a demo. I don't like that. I want to go with the flow as I am instead of having another person interfere in my sales cycle. That's why I'm not a believer of appointment setting at all.
So if you do add a salesperson, you get someone that does the intro and does the demo start to finish, not here's one portion of it, pass it along to the next person.
100%.
Okay.
100%. Because I want them to, the first thing a sales guy would do in my ecosystem is pound on intro calls, not demo calls. Until they get comfortable and used to it, they're going to then be given the privilege of doing demo calls. So I want them to get the practice through demo calls. They'll find their voice on intro calls. You know what I mean?
Okay, awesome.
Yeah. Well, guys, I appreciate all of you staying on and being here. And we'll have the replay up. So I've got to go back and tell the production team to bleep out all the blessing words Omer was doing. So I've got to do that. That's going to probably cause a 2-day delay on uploading it, which is fine. You know, they're just passionate about what we're providing. So I appreciate your patience on that. And have a good rest of your afternoon, y'all.